All right. Hello, today is, let me see, Monday, the 13th, and it's 6:01. We're going to start our Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council stakeholder meeting. And I just want to see, do we have any students who are attendees? If we do, can you please raise your hand so that we can identify who you are? Just want to give them an opportunity. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands up, so we have no students attending this time around. At this time, I'll make another announcement a little bit later. All right, so welcome everybody. This will be our last Zoom meeting, and we will be making arrangements to hopefully get back to the park so that we can have in-person meetings starting in March. Just kind of want to give you a heads up on that. So with that stated, let's go ahead and start our agenda.
First, we need to do roll call.
And I was just about ready to call for that. And Victor, thank you very much. I know you went to a very prestigious school, so they must have taught mind reading there. So would you like to do roll call, please?
I wish they did. Okay, John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. Craig Goldfarb.
Here.
Cynthia Gagne.
Here.
Melanie Lebrecq.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Ben Norman.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Here.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
David Samperio. I do not see him. I don't see him on either side. Adam Stevenson.
Here.
Angela Sumner.
Here.
Chris Valle.
Here.
And Gwen, have you finished your training? Because the Paige and Dunn both say you haven't finished all your training yet.
She's gone. Oh, there she is.
Present.
Have you finished all your training? Because the webpage and Dunn both say you have not.
It's all done. It's all completed. I'll get the certification to you during this meeting.
Did you do the funding, Gwen? Because it says the 20-minute funding or whatever it is that you hadn't done.
It did not have that as an eligibility thing that I had to do. It wasn't listed anywhere in must-dos. I checked that a couple times.
If you haven't done it, then we'll have to put you in attendees because it's been more than 60 days. So you're not eligible to be counted as quorum or to discuss, vote, or anything like that.
That's strange. The funding literally does not. Every time I went on there, I checked it several times to make sure that I had completed everything.
I think that might be one, because I was probably in the same boat. You have to go looking for it, and like you have to request it. It's not a good system, and you know it really should show you what's pending. But I think when I was in that situation, I had to go. There's a I forget the exact sequence, but you can go in and sort of request trainings. Just look for that one specifically, and you can knock it out. But it's ridiculous that you should have to dig around like that for it.
I actually dug around, but it didn't say. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I don't want to waste any more time on that. Thank you.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes, that is all. So we have 12 board members present. Oh, I also forgot to say John D'Amiglio and Dan Dixon are both excused.
All right. So we have quorum.
We do have 12, so we do have quorum.
All right. So let's go ahead and go to Agenda item number 2, this is general public comment on non-agenda items. We have a very, very, very full agenda today, so I want to just say up front that we'll go around once for comment for the board and for any public comment. So at this particular time, public comment will be, it says 2 minutes, but I will modify it to 1 minute. So anyone who wants to make a public comment, please,
I'm not sure what's going on, but my connection is really bad.
who is this saying? Who's saying that?
Kelly Miller.
Oh, Kelly? Yeah, maybe Kelly, you may want to jump off and jump back on.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. All
Okay.
right.
All right, but in the meantime, let's go to public comment. I see one hand up, and that's Diana Nave, I'm sorry. And then we have.
I have something for public comment too.
Okay. So, Mr. Christensen, can we get Diana on board?
I think I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Thank you. I just have a couple of announcements with regard to Peck Park Canyon. First, I want to thank this board for your consideration of funding to purchase plants to beautify the Elberon Walker entrance to the canyon. I know this is on the agenda later, but assuming it passes, we have scheduled a planting day for next Monday, February 20th from 9 to 4. We'll be planting just below the entrance to the canyon that's located at the intersection of Walker and Elberon. Come anytime that day to help out. We recommend bringing gloves and a hand spade if you have one. That's Monday, this next Monday, February 20th, 9 to 4. The second item has to do with the walks in the canyon. This Wednesday, February 15th, will be the next exercise walk. This walk is led by Mary Borgione and is paced for exercise. It takes an hour to an hour and a half. The next nature walk is Saturday, February 25th. This walk is led by Alan Franz. It's slower paced, covers less distance, and includes a discussion of plants and other aspects of the canyon. It's suitable for families. Both walks leave at 9 a.m. from the trailhead that is located in the southwest corner of the lower Peck Park parking lot. That is, they're on the same side of the parking lot as the main building that's just east of it. That's it. Thank you.
Diana, if I can,
Yes.
is it okay to bring our pets on these walks, our dogs to walk along with us?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Just bring doggy bags, right?
People walk their dogs in the canyon all the time, as long as they're on leash.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. I think we might have, do we have anyone else? I see another one, Prevention Education Unit.
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zach Denham, and I'm here on behalf of the Angelinos for Clean Air Coalition. Over the past year and a half, our coalition has aimed to educate and empower the community on the harmful effects of secondhand smoke in multi-unit housing in the city of LA. Families and individuals who reside in multi-unit housing are at a higher risk of being exposed to secondhand smoke because the smoke can easily enter one unit through another, through windows, doors, ventilation systems, and even small cracks on the walls. The U.S. Surgeon General has stated that there is no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke, and I'm here today to invite you all to attend our monthly coalition meetings, where we provide educational workshops and resources to community members who are interested in advocating for smoke-free housing in the city of LA. Our next coalition meeting is going to be next Saturday, February 25th at 10 a.m., and it's going to be on Zoom and in person. We do have a flyer available, and we would appreciate it if the board would share our coalition flyer with their network and community and invite them to come join us and learn more about our campaign. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. I see no other hands and from our attendees. I do see Lydia Grant's hand up. Is that from previous?
No, can I please get the name of the speaker, a spelling of it?
The recent one?
Yeah.
The last one? Okay,
Yeah, that was my name.
yes, please.
So it's Zach, Z-A-C-H, and then Denham, D-E-N-H-A-M.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And then the coalition that I'm with is Angelinos for Clean Air.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. All right,
Captain McGuire has his hand up, Ray, but I don't think he realizes he's on the agenda further down.
well, let's, can we, oh, he just took it down. So, okay, let me see, can we? I just want to double check with Kelly. Kelly, you said you had are you back on? There you are. Did you have
I got an email from Melanie saying that it's something I need to take up with public safety, so I'm gonna do it with that.
okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes care of agenda item number 2. We'll move on to agenda item number 3. And we have a guest here. Please, I hope I'm saying this right, Lainey Busalto from the LA City Clerk's Office. This is going to be about the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council elections, ballot and cast votes. So can we bring up Lainey? And Lainey, you have the floor.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lene Basolto, and I'm with the City Clerk Election Division. I'm here on behalf of your election administrator, Naima Pullman. She asked me to come by, I believe, at the invite of John. I understand there were questions about your election, and I'm here to answer them. I can see that on your agenda, she has the vote by mail periods, as well as the ballot mailing period. And then confirmation of your polling location and voting hours. And I do want to give you some updates. The COVID-19 policy has been lifted throughout the city, and that will in turn be lifted for your polling place location. So there will be no test requirements or proof of vaccinations. What will happen now is we encourage people to wear masks, but they are not required. So that would be one of the changes. And I believe she should have emailed you a confirmation, but I just want to make sure I remind everybody that those restrictions have been lifted, and that will happen also at your polling place. And there is our website there on your agenda, and we have staff available to assist voters if they have questions about how to apply for a ballot, information about their stakeholder status and how they may qualify to vote. Yours is listed as self-affirmation, which means that documentation will not be required at the polling location, or if you submit an application for a vote by mail ballot. They just want to make sure the information follows your bylaw requirements, which means that they either live, work, own property, or have a community interest stake in your neighborhood, that the address falls within your boundaries, and that they meet the requirements based on your bylaws. So if they give you an address that happens to be, let's say, in Santa Monica, then they wouldn't qualify versus someplace within your boundaries. We're going to also make sure that that happens. They just won't have to prove it, but they'll still have to have addresses within your boundaries. And I'm open to answering any questions. I understand there was a possibility that people may have questions. So.
Okay. We'll start with questions from the board. Anyone have questions from the board?
Well, the only thing, does she have any paperwork that we can put on screen?
No, because you pretty much have everything that we've, that's either on our website or the information that I would have given you have on your agenda, so.
Okay.
Except for that one correction on the COVID policy. That's kind of new because they just lifted those restrictions. I know we mentioned if the policies change, we would change the policies accordingly. And so we have.
Is the policy listed on the agenda still the current one as of February 1st?
No, that's the incorrect one where it says restrictions have been, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even read that part, lifted. Very well, you were right, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I did not see the word lifted.
All right. Anyone else from from the board? I do not see any hands, so it appears that we have a question from Lori Jacobs.
Okay.
One of our attendees.
Oh, hi there. Hi, Lainey.
Hi,
What
Lori.
I was hoping that you could actually share the screen to actually walk people through how they apply for the ballot. Because there's two ways they could do it, because we want to save this recording and share this with our stakeholders
Yeah,
later on. And so for some of us, we on the board are more familiar with it, but
right.
is that possible for you to do
No,
that?
we don't have the ability to do that today. However, we are working on a video that we're going to be putting on our website that's going to walk people through. And remember, if you call our office, we do have staff ready and waiting to help people, depending on what they're more comfortable with. If there's, let's say, a person that's not tech savvy and they want to send in a paper application, I've even had people call me on the phone, and I actually put an application in for somebody, sometimes through the phone. So there are multiple ways that we can assist people. And then of course, when they go to the polling place on election day, there's going to be staff there available to help them at the actual polling place. So there are a few ways for people to vote. They still have until March, but take advantage of calling our office. I mean, our staff is friendly, they're willing and able to help. And we encourage you to give them our number, our contact information, and we will help them. And our goal is to make sure, a lot of times they don't know for sure how they qualify, or they want to ask questions, and you want to let us be there to help them. That's what they're there for.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm part of the outreach team for the election. So we'll be putting that on our website. We're putting it in a hard copy newsletter. So thank you very much.
And they're
What is-
there. They're there from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And we have some of the most patient people in the world. So, I've had people go, the little arrow thing, and move it to the left, and really want to help. So give us the opportunity to try.
Lainey, do you think maybe you could tell us the phone number if anyone should like to?
Sure. It's area code 213-978-0444. And if you go to our website, I see that you have our website on there. You can always see our number. We kind of advertise our information. If you scroll to the bottom of the screen, we always have our phone number and our email. We're really good. I know a lot of websites, when you go contact us, they don't put phone numbers. They don't want you to call. They want to do everything digital. We put our phone number out there. So feel free to give us a call, and staff will be there to answer.
Okay, thank you. I see John's hand up. John?
Lady, Naima told me that it's only going to be at Peck Park. That they'll bring if they have the envelopes and stuff, they could bring it and leave it there at Peck Park. There's not going to be any boxes, I believe, anywhere.
That is correct. There's not going to be any, we're not going to use the county drop boxes. However, any of the Region 12 polling locations, you can drop them off at any of the polling locations. So we will have on our website all the polling locations on your election day for Region 12. So they ideally, they can go to Peck Park. It might be closer for them, but as long as they see any of those locations on election day, they can drop it off at any polling place. It works the same, except we only have a few elections.
We're talking like the libraries and stuff like that?
No, it's not going to be at a bunch of different locations. We'll have a list on our website of the actual polling locations. We may even have it now of the Region 12, but you can go to our website and we can tell you exactly where. And remember, they can also drop it in a mailbox on election day. It has 10 days to get to us. So even if, let's say, they run out of time, if they go to the post office, drop it. Remember, it's postage paid by us. So it's prepaid postage. So it doesn't cost them any money if they get a vote by mail ballot. So if they get nervous and they want to, go to the post office, as long as it's postmarked by election day, it has 10 days to get to us.
Yeah, that's to the 11th, if I.
And they
believe
can
it.
follow up by the phone because we will track the vote by mail ballots. So let's say if they want to double check that we received it and it got counted, they can always follow up with us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? Well, it doesn't look like we have any more hands up, Lainey. Thank you so much for taking some time to being with us this evening.
You're very welcome. I know Naima wanted to be here, but we wanted to make sure that someone was here to help you. So we work as a team and we're very glad that we can come down, and we hope everybody gets a chance to participate, and feel free to call our office. I'll repeat the number one more time, 213-978-0444. Call our office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We're here to help.
Great, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a good evening,
All righty.
but you're welcome to stay as long as you like to.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead with the next item on our agenda, and that is our homeless liaison report. Lori? Hello, Lori.
I was waiting to be unmuted. Thank you. I have a very detailed report this time. It's like 6 pages, and you've mentioned that you have a lot on your agenda. So I'll kind of zip through them. I usually have website links that people could check, or they can reach out to me. And first of all, I'd like to thank the board. 3 of the Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council board members participated in the recent homeless count, and that was Ray Regalado, John Barbera, and Craig Goldfarb. And I was there as your liaison. So thank you for the work you did there. The results probably won't be out until late summer, maybe later than that. They did have some glitches with the application that they were using, and that may slow things down a bit. So I'll keep you posted on that. As always, if you see somebody in trouble, send the information to the lahop.org portal so we can get outreach teams out there. The Best Western on Gaffey and First Street opened up in January, beginning of January, and this is for veterans experiencing homelessness, and it's being run by the Volunteers of America, and they it's completely it's basically permanent supportive housing with wraparound services. And if anybody knows of a veteran that needs help, you can send the information to me and I'll get it to the right people. Beacon Landing in San Pedro, not sure what the opening date is. That is on Beacon, I want to say in 3rd Street. I'm not sure. It's right next to where the Bridge Home tents are. And so this is modular prefab units. And if you drive by there, they're moving along pretty well. I believe it's going to be like 7 stories high, 89 units completely with wraparound services, all of it 100% subsidized. And you could read about more information on that one. LA Family Housing will be the supportive service provider. I have a note about changes to federal emergency housing vouchers. In the past, I've mentioned how the county had about 6,800 emergency housing vouchers. They had to stop. They actually issued more than they could match up, kind of like the way an airline books more seats than they more people on seats than they have. But at first they announced that those were sunsetting and people were going to lose their vouchers. They got enough feedback to change that, and they're converting those into Section 8 vouchers. So people who have those but couldn't find a landlord yet have more time to work with the housing authorities and get matched up. Eviction moratorium, like a lot of this stuff, by the time I do my report and it gets to you, it's already changed again. It's always a moving target. I watch every day. So the county did extend 2 months. I think the city extended 1 month. But I can say they extended the moratorium, but it's more detailed than that. You actually need to read through the motions because they changed a lot of what a landlord can do and can't do. The last page of this report is again eviction locations where if people are having a problem, tenant and landlord, where they can get free legal aid if they have concerns. Establishing a roadmap to address the mental health bed shortage. So that's a serious problem, as we all know. So the county, I believe, is working on this, Board of Supervisors addressing this with several reports to try and create a plan. Even with having crisis response teams out there, we don't have any place to take people to. We don't want to put them in jail. That's not where they belong. So I'm following this to see where we could do things to advocate and help push along getting more mental health beds. And that's mental health at various levels. There's people with high acuity, low acuity. And then that also ties in with more places for substance use treatment. Quite often those go hand in hand. I have information on HUD, which is the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Funding. They had a big announcement, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, Mayor Bass and Supervisor Hahn and a lot of other people. So they've announced another $60 million grant supporting all the efforts to move people off the streets. And part of that is going to go towards Mayor Bass's Inside Safe program, which I told you a little bit about last month. And so did Jocelyn Dominguez. I'm not sure if she's going to be here today, but she can tell you that they've already started opening a couple of Inside Safe sites. They started first in Venice and in Hollywood. And I believe we're pretty close to being next in the line there with the Lomita McCoy encampment, because that's a long-standing encampment that has a high volume of people. So I have a link there if you want to read more about the Inside Safe program. You could scroll down. Whoever's moving this. Okay. I mentioned the Hermosa Beach Mobile Crisis Response Pilot Program because this ties into the mental health issue. Right now, we don't have 24-hour service. So, people don't have psychotic breaks between 8 and 5, Monday and Friday. So we're trying to get 24-hour vans 7 days a week. And so quite often the mobile crisis response programs will include somebody with mental health, maybe a service provider, and when necessary, they'll include law enforcement. So if it's a dangerous situation, they try to assess that. So I'm kind of watching to see how that pilot program goes so that maybe we can push to get one in our area too. Well, not one, we need a lot of these. But again, even if we get people, we still need a place to take them to. So that's really important. LA County announced they're looking for applications for round 3 of Project Home Key. That's where they're converting motels into housing. They're really looking for places that are kind of ready-made, like an extended stay that already has bathroom and possibly a kitchenette. They're going after those first. So if you know of any properties that you think might qualify for that, you could actually send that information to Council Member McCosker, because the council members are helping to identify potential sites. And then they have an organization that goes around and assesses the properties to see what the potential is. Interim housing shelters. So I just have the numbers there of how many people are in each of the local housing and the encampments. And this is as of a couple of weeks ago. You could scroll up or down, whatever, move on. Okay. Sorry, I'm sick, so just bear with me. The last section, so the Board of Supervisors approved a huge spending, $609 million. They're working now on deciding, how that's going to work. I sat in a meeting last week. I work for a council of government, and you'll see it says that the money is probably going to go directly to the county cities and to the council of governments to work directly with them. That's what I'm working on right now already, are these Measure H innovation funds, addressing homelessness, mental health, and root causes of homelessness. And a lot of money now is they're really looking at prevention. It's one thing to help the people already out on the streets, but if we could prevent, right now the numbers are a little scary. We've housed a lot of people, but they're still becoming unhoused at a faster rate than we could get housing. You could scroll, and what else do I have in here? I think I had one more page. Yeah, okay, so this is just a repeat of what I tell you each time. about available resources. Okay, there's the housing rights hotline. So if you know of anybody, again, landlords, you know, there's rights for landlords too. This is not just tenants. So Stay Housed LA is actually on overload. And so if you can't get help there, you can go to the free tenant power toolkit. And then also the LA County has rent stabilization that they help with there. So that's as fast as I could tell you a whole lot of information if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Lori. That was really good information that you're pushing out there. Do we have any, let's open it up for questions or comments. We'll start with the board. Melanie, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
No real question or anything. I just want to commend Lori on the very detailed reports that she does for this. It's very informative and a lot of work that goes into them. And so I really appreciate it because you learn a lot from it.
No, thank you, Melanie, and I appreciate that. I forgot to mention at the beginning that the CD15 working group, you know, started with the neighborhood councils and partners with the council members, service providers, other electeds. And last week we got a chance to meet in person, and we're really focusing on doing breakout groups so we can become more of an action-oriented group. We've been very much informational, so we could get information and bring back to the neighborhood councils. Now we're saying, you know, what can we do that is more action-oriented, advocating for legislative items that could help addressing mental health, any of these things. So anybody can go to the CD15 working group meetings. They're not Brown acted. So at the beginning of this report is information how to get on the email distribution.
Thank you. I don't see any other board members with their hands up. So if there are any if anyone would like to ask a question of Lori from our attendees, now's your opportunity. And I do not see any hands up. So
Thank you for letting me be of service to the council.
Lori, thank you for being of service to the council. You do a great job. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, and that is our public representatives, our electeds, any departments, governmental. So we have a special identifier here for an LAPD update from Captain Brent McGuire. So why don't we start with Captain McGuire? And Captain McGuire, thank you so much for being here with us today or tonight.
No problem. Good evening, everybody. This is my sound check. Can you hear me?
Fine.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, so I will give just a couple of highlights about what we have going on, and then if there are any questions, I'm more than welcome to answer any of those. I can tell you so far for crime for the year, we're very early in the year, but so far the crime outlook looks positive. Part of it has been the rain and the weather has helped us out a lot, but looking at all of the crime categories from rapes, robberies, homicides, shootings, car thefts, everything, every category we are down. Overall, so far this year, we're down 18% in our violent crime. And we are down 14%, or I'm sorry, 13% in our property crime for an overall decrease of 14% for the year, which is so far encouraging because especially in areas of home break-ins and car thefts last year, we struggled a lot. So we are excited that we're seeing some progress in some of the gains that we implemented towards the end of last year, getting some traction this year. As far as other initiatives that we're talking about, I know you were talking about some of the homeless initiatives. There's one initiative that the city is doing called Circle Teams, in which they are diverting 911 calls away from LAPD and having them dispatched to non-police officers. It's generally a clinician, a social worker, and someone that they say has lived-in experience. So essentially a former homeless person would go out and provide services to some of these folks. It is a pilot program that started in Hollywood and Venice Beach area and is now expanded to larger parts of the city. It has not come to Harbor, San Pedro area as of yet, but it has slowly started to creep its way south of the 10 freeway. So as it gains traction, we're hoping to get it down here soon. But it is showing some promising results in that they've already diverted about 1,500 911 calls away from police response just in those two areas over a span of about 6 months, I believe. So we're looking forward to having that expand down to the Harbor area. In the meantime, staffing is always a challenge for us, but we're happy to say that we are able to keep our quality of life team intact. These are two specially trained officers that just concentrate on dealing with quality of life issues, which invariably have to deal with homeless issues. So we have been able to keep that team together to work on some of those issues. I know for a lot of folks on this call, the parks are a big concern. So we have been working diligently to try and shore up our parks, definitely to ensure that we don't have a repeat of what we had last summer at Peck Park. So we have ramped up some of our LAPD patrols, but we are also working with Security Services Division, who technically has the forefront with the park rangers for protecting the parks. Right now, they are having their own staffing shortages. They generally use security guards, not police officers, but lower cost security guards to help patrol the parks. I think they're supposed to have something like 20, 25 of those security guards, and they're down to 8 right now. So we have reached out to Councilman McCosker, who has either introduced it or is about to introduce a motion to try and speed up the hiring of those security guards so we can get better patrols and services to our parks. In the meantime, we are working with the Security Services Division to make sure that they are coming down to the Harbor area and doing what they can to help us keep our parks safe. Otherwise, we just had a couple of events, a little bit out of your neck of the woods, but they just had the square that was dedicated to the NWSPNC this last weekend at 3rd and Mesa. And then this last Thursday, we were also able to partner with a local business owner, Sirens Cafe, to highlight their business on the news. So always happy to highlight local businesses down in San Pedro. And then tomorrow we have the Love Yourself event down at Point Furman. This was spawned by, unfortunately, last year, I think we had 5 people who committed suicide at the Point Furman area. Nothing tying them together, or no trends or patterns with those incidences, but still that's 5 too many. So we are putting on an event, especially for Valentine's Day, as people sometimes find themselves depressed when they find themselves alone. So we're hosting an event there tomorrow from 10 to 1, if anyone can make it, and help support and show some love to some folks out there. Otherwise, that's kind of all I have. And like I said, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
Thank you, Captain McGuire. That's a great report. Appreciate it. We're going to open it up to our board members first. I see a few hands that are starting to pop up. So I'll go down as they appear here on my screen, and I see Melanie and then Craig Goldfarb. And then if there's any others, then we'll go ahead and move over to, I do see a hand over on one of our attendees. So Melanie, you're up first.
Yeah, Captain McGuire, can you touch on the break-ins that have happened in Taronga and also the break-in that happened recently over in the gardens where they were wearing security vests and suitcases, I guess, in the gardens? Can you touch on some of that and what's being done to ramp up with the problems over by Taronga and Myler Channel area with all the break-ins that are happening there?
A little bit. I can't give you, or I don't have specifics on the follow-ups to those specific investigations. As far as the security vests and stuff like that, when we ever do have break-ins, we either query our burglary detectives to see if we have similars like that, to see if this is part of a burglary series. And we also kind of run some of those descriptors through the computer databases to see if that's a trend citywide. To date, as of now, we haven't found anything where we've seen similar matches to that. They may pop up as we expand our searches, especially as we look at some of the South Bay cities and others that don't necessarily tie into the LAPD computer databases. We have definitely shifted some of our day and nighttime patrols in those areas. And then we've also been trying to work on getting a better array or a sense of collecting video in those areas. Sometimes it's not video cameras that are right either at the house that was broken into or the neighbors, but sometimes down the street where we can capture good license plates from some of the vehicles there. So we've been canvassing some of those areas, utilizing some of our volunteers that are helping us with some of those canvases to try and collect more evidence on that.
Okay, thank you.
Craig, you're up.
Okay, hello, Captain. This is a repeat from our CPAB meeting where I still living in the neighborhood that has been hard hit by robberies lately. I don't feel very, very supportive. And I recently reached out to the SLO who was on vacation. So I put out an email to the two other SLOs that were put on the list to do. One didn't respond to me. The other one responded that I should talk to parking control, which it wasn't a parking issue. It was something that I had spoken to him about. A vehicle being in the area that may have seen the robberies or know something about them. So I'm feeling, you know, we don't seem to have regular coverage from SLOs. They've been changing a lot. When I go to the CPAB meetings, I see on the board of the CPAB, there's all these people from coastal San Pedro, but there's nobody from Northwest San Pedro. And I just don't feel that we're being heard or seen by you or your staff, especially in regards to what's been happening recently.
Well, so I apologize, and I'm sorry that definitely we don't want you to feel like you're not being seen or heard at the very least. You have had Paul Omer that's been assigned to your area pretty steadily for the last, I'm going to say at least 6-7 months. I know he did have a baby, and then the last couple of weeks he's been in training to be a drug recognition expert. So that way when he goes out there, he can do more hands-on arrests himself. So we have had some senior lead officers filling the gap while he's either been in training or off with his baby. But there's probably been a little bit of gaps in communicating with you. I don't think I have the ability to put my email address up there, but you guys may all have my email address. If you got pens handy, it's 36095@lapd.online. Again, that's 36095@lapd.online. Feel free to either CC me on any of your emails that you give to the senior lead officers, or if you want to send me an email, I will make sure that I get someone to respond back to you. Because that's definitely been a point of emphasis, is to make sure that we are following up and being responsive to community members when they have needs like that. I don't know if that answers your question, or I know I.
What about having people from Northwest on your CPAB committee, your executive committee?
We could possibly.
I noticed that the CPAB people seem on your executive committee seem to get a lot of attention for their areas.
Well, they're supposed to represent all of Harbor area, and I don't know how. I guess I wouldn't say they get special treatment, Like I said, if you have my email address, so if you would like to sit down and talk to me at the station, I'm willing to do that at any point. So if you feel like you are not getting as much attention, then I would like to rectify that. But as far as the number of seats, yeah, I don't know if we can free up more seats to do that. I think there is potentially one more seat that we have to do for the San Pedro area. So we could look at the Northwest San Pedro if that's of interest. There's one member that is potentially going to step down, so then we would have to have a replacement. So there's potential for that.
Okay, Captain McGuire, thank you very much. We do have a hand up on our attendee side, and that's Diana Nave. Diana?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for being here. I have a couple of things. The first one, because Melanie raised the break-ins in Tarragona, and that's my neighborhood. I'm the captain for our area, the neighborhood watch captain. But one of our neighbors raised the issue of the fact that about 15 years ago, we had a lot of break-ins in this neighborhood, and wondered if anyone has looked at who actually committed those burglaries and whether they're out now, and they were eventually caught. And so there's some question about whether maybe it's the same people that are back again. But the real reason I raised my hand has to do with traffic enforcement. We've had a lot of discussion about the fact that people are running stop signs. They're doing all kinds of not very good behavior when they are driving, and there seems to be very little traffic enforcement. I was at a meeting on Saturday, and someone told us that about 2 years ago, San Pedro actually had an officer who was dedicated just to traffic enforcement. And it seemed like it might be helpful to bring a position like that back. So I wonder if there's been consideration of that. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So typically when we do arrest people, we put a what we call an alert on them. So that way when they are released, we are made aware of it. So in case we do see similar things pop back up, but I don't know, as far as 15 years back, I'd double check to see if we have anything in place from that long ago. But thank you for the tip on that. We'll definitely take a look. As far as officers that are dedicated to just traffic enforcement, we do have one dedicated officer from South Traffic Division who looks at all of the traffic safety issues around our area. And then for Harbor Division, we do have one officer that does it in-house here as well. So I will get with him. Any intersections in particular that you're looking at for those stop signs, so I can direct them to that area?
Unfortunately, it seems to be happening all over San Pedro.
Okay.
And it's really kind of scary when you're sitting when you're waiting to make a left-hand turn at a signal, because people are actually running the red lights at signals now.
Okay. Yeah, lately they've been concentrated on the larger thoroughfares like Pacific and Gaffey, but we'll push them up into the neighborhoods a little bit more to pay some more attention up there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. I see a couple more hands that have popped up on the panelist side, the board side. So I'm going to take them as I see them on my screen, and that's Kelly Miller and then Victor Christensen.
One of the stop signs that they are continuously running is by 7th Street Elementary, and we do not have a crossing guard there. And they run that stops, they come down that hill and run it. I mean, I'll stand there in the morning and watch 6, 7 cars run it. And when I'm going home in the afternoon, again, they just run it, and it's right by the school. And there's never anyone there taking care of parking or parking enforcement. We can't even get a crossing guard, and I don't know why.
Thank you. I'm putting that, sorry, I'm typing as you speak, 7th Street Elementary. So right around drop off, you're saying, probably like 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Victor Christensen, you're up next.
I've got another stop sign for you that they run regularly. That is at Westmont and Amelia. Both directions on Westmont regularly have the stop sign run.
Got it. Okay. Westmont and Amelia.
That's all I had.
Okay, I see a hand up by Melanie.
Yeah, just another area you want to look at is all the way up Capitol. They run it, especially in the evening or early in the morning. They'll just go boom, boom, boom and hit all the stop signs and just go running through them. It's like a racetrack out here. And I've seen it the same on Westmont. They go straight up.
I'd like to make a suggestion. I think for the ease of Captain McGuire, perhaps maybe Melanie being head of public safety, you could maybe get people to email you some, you know,
Yeah, and put together a list.
section and yeah, and then forward it to.
Okay, I can do
McGuire.
that.
I think that might make it a little bit easier for you, Captain. You think?
Yeah, no, that's great. I typed down the 3 that you mentioned, but if there's a more exhaustive list, then we'll take it, and so we can make sure they get addressed.
Yeah, I actually have a couple when I'm walking my dog in the morning, and so I'd love to contribute to that list.
Okay, why don't we
But
do
not to your
that?
frustration, Captain McGuire.
Just everybody email me and for public, if they have anything, it's melanie.lebrecque, LABRECQUE @yahoo.com.
And if I can just add, if we can do that probably within the next maybe the next 5 days, so that we can get this list done right away.
Sounds
and then
good.
keep going. So, okay, thank you. I do not see any other hands, so I'm going to say that Captain McGuire, we're really honored to have you here today. Thank you so much for stopping by. And again, as I say to everyone else, you're more than welcome to stay as long as you'd like at our meeting here today.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We do also have our regular CPAP this Thursday too. So if you'd like to come out or anything that pops in your head between now and then, please feel free to come to our house on Thursday evening at 6.
Great, thank you. Okay, looking to, we have some other representatives. I'd like to make sure that we give them some time. I saw Erica Velasquez. I believe she's here. Erica, would you like to say anything on behalf of the Council District 1-5?
Hi, yes, thank you, Ray. Good evening, everyone. Erica Velasquez, District Director for Councilman McCosker. Great to be with you guys tonight. Glad to be back. I've had an opportunity to work with many of you guys when I was a supervisor and both at Leon County and also when she was in City Council. So just wanted to come in and reintroduce myself. Also on tonight is Amanda Enriquez, who's your San Pedro field deputy. So she's joining us tonight as well. And if she could have a little bit of time as well, Ray, to introduce herself in a little bit.
Absolutely.
We would appreciate that. Just wanted to give you all a brief update. This afternoon, the council member put out a statement regarding the billboard on Gaffey. They did put up a new advertisement earlier today, and he was not happy about it. He feels that, that this is a slap in the face to the San Pedro community who, have patiently been waiting for the billboard to be taken down. Regency Outdoor Advertising is well aware that their lease is over and they're legally obligated to take the billboard down and have not done so. So we're staying on top of it. This is what went out today. So hopefully we're going to be able to get this done soon. But they did put up a new billboard today. So it's an ongoing fight. And
Erica, if you please let us know what we can do to support that effort for the council person.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I know that I believe did you guys do a letter in support of it? Or was it something that was discussed before I came on?
Yeah, this conversation actually goes back quite a long time.
Okay. So yeah, I'll let you know if we need any more action from the neighborhood councils, but just wanted to bring you up to speed on what the latest was on that. And that, you know, we continue to work on it. The council member staying on top of it. You know, it's a priority for him. So we're working hard to have that billboard removed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Erica?
That's all I have. I just wanted to give some time to Amanda to introduce herself as well. And if you have any questions for us, we're here. I know that we can't share our emails on a chat, but if you would like to email me directly, you could email me at Erica, ERIKA .Velasquez, VELAZQUEZ @lacity.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Amanda.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to you. It's a pleasure to be your new field deputy for San Pedro. I'm super excited about the opportunity, and I know a few of you. In my previous role, I was the site manager for the Harbor Business Source Center, and so I also will give out my email address in case any of you want to contact me. It's Amanda.Enriquez, ENRIQUEZ @lacity.org. And also, I'm hoping many of you would like to take that down. It is 213-266-1267. Again, that's 213-266-1267. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. You were cutting out a little bit, but I think we got the gist of what you were saying. We got your number, and also, I believe we got the first part of your email address, but I think the second part is pretty common with Erica's. So thank you for that, and we're looking forward to maybe seeing you when we meet in person next month. So
Ray, let me also provide my cell phone number. It's 213-266-1221.
Okay, great. Thank you, Erica. Okay, so let's open it up if we have any questions or comments from our, we'll start with our panelists, or I should say our board members here. And I see Victor's hand up. Victor Christensen, you're up.
Well, Lori's had her hand up for a while, so let me let her go first.
Well, I'm kind of going with our board first, and then we'll go to the people on the attendee side. So go ahead, Victor.
Okay, just a quick question about the billboard. Is it an option to just go take it down and then send them the bill, essentially? So at least they can't put any more signs up, and that part of it is done.
I know that the councilman has been in conversations with this the city attorney's office, and I'm not sure if that is an option, but I will ask that question and could get back to you, Victor, if that works.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chris, I see your hand up now.
Thanks. Yeah, just to clarify, Erica, the city does own the land now, right? That was something I believe happened a while ago, but we were waiting for the lease to expire?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to Lori. Lori Jacobs, you're up.
Thank you. And thank you, Erica and Amanda. We are well represented. I run into them constantly wherever I'm going. They are out there in the field. And I wanted to let you know that we're just proofreading the next edition of the Advocate, the hard copy newsletter that will get mailed and also mailed as a PDF version. We have an article from the 1.5 that lists Erica's email, Amanda's email. It's got phone numbers for all of the 5 area offices for Tim McCosker in there, all that contact information. We also have an article about the council member on the billboard. So all of you scrambling to write all this down, I'm letting you know that information is going to be shared with all of our stakeholders in the upcoming newsletter. So I'm looking forward. They're already showing that they're very dedicated to covering supporting the neighborhood councils and covering the area. So we're off to a great start. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Okay, I do not see any other hand. Well, yeah, I do not see any other hands at this time. Erica and Amanda, we're really happy that you're in San Pedro and taking care of our interests. Thank you so much for being there and being with us tonight. We're like to offer any assistance that we can and any efforts that you all have from the council members. That would be, we'd be happy to consider and assist in any way we can. Thank you so much to both of you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me see. I also see, I saw Octaviano Rios. Octaviano, are you still with us? I'm looking down the list here.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
There you go. Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thank you. Good evening, President Regalado, board officers and board members. This is Octaviano Rios with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Hope everybody's doing well. I know that I'm going to be a little bit sensitive here with the density of your agenda tonight. So, but bear with me because I do have a few updates and I'll try to breeze through some of the reminders. With regards to your Zoom accounts, that's the first update from the NC profiles. There was information there asking boards to place on their agendas, which I believe you have tonight, an action item to start taking on the cost of your Zoom accounts. The department for the last 3 years had paid the accounts for most of the neighborhood councils during the pandemic, which cost, I believe, about $200 per year. So neighborhood councils are able to purchase additional Zoom accounts, and the department is now staffed to be able to invoice each of the neighborhood councils that are looking to continue on with their Zoom accounts. So that brings me to the next issue that's been very hot the last few weeks, reasonably so, is neighborhood councils in-person meeting transition. Sorry if I have a little bit of a pause here. There's an echo that I can't seem to get rid of on my end, so it's a little distracting. So as you know, come March 1st, all of the neighborhood council public meetings are to be held in person. The department, the city clerk's office, specifically the neighborhood council funding program, the Department on Disability, and the city attorney's office neighborhood council advice division are working together to help move the transition quickly, to develop protocols, and also to get the ADA inspections completed. Now, because of the amount of questions and concerns related to the readiness of our neighborhood councils to meet in person, the department is planning on holding 2 information sessions that we're asking our board members, as well as our committee members and stakeholders, to attend if you're interested. They're slated for Thursday, February 23rd, from 6 to 7:30. That's an hour and a half. And then the next one is probably a little bit more convenient for folks. It's going to be held on Saturday, February 25th, from 1 to 2:30, so in the afternoon. So there they'll cover some of the various governance models that we understand to be in effect. It's a little bit convoluted in terms of the pending legislation, but I'm sure we'll touch on that. The sessions will also cover the rules pertaining to each model, about the technology and equipment requirements for each governance model, and last, about the meeting management guidelines that should be followed for each model. So in attendance, I believe our general manager will be there, but also our director of policy and government relations, Thomas Sung, who you're very familiar with. And then in the meantime, we are collecting feedback on the back end in preparation of these sessions. We're asking our board members and those involved in the governance and management of the neighborhood councils to please email me your specific concerns, any questions or suggestions, even recommendations that you may have. And hopefully we'll use that to help inform the development of these sessions. Now, I think the latest development that you received last Friday afternoon about 5 o'clock from our management analyst, Henry Lowe, is sort of a repeat, a review of what you have in your NC profiles already, which is kind of a step-by-step on how you should go about identifying your facilities to meet in person, and some of the paperwork that you should expect to process in assistance from our office and the city clerk's office. So there's some specific applications from city facilities like libraries, and there's different applications coming from the LAUSD, from LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District facilities, so auditoriums, etc. So I know that this board meets out of a city facility, Rec and Parks. So you'll have a general application that the city uses. And I know you have a pretty close relationship with those folks. But, sooner than later, and I think you've already done this, just help go out to the location and meet with the representative of that facility, maybe the director, maybe someone a little bit lower there, to help you understand if your meeting locations will be available moving forward. Now, if you have committee meetings there, do the same thing and ask what paperwork will be required. Some folks are a little bit concerned about the amount of paperwork. Know that these the city clerk's office is requiring them. Some of it are formalities for liability purposes, just to make sure that they have it on record that that's where you're meeting. So there's a few other steps that are more specific that I don't want to take up more of your time there, but we can talk further if you'd like. And if you haven't submitted the additional locations for your committees, we are available for that as well, not just for your board meetings, but the latest is we are now asking all of our boards to let us know all of the meeting locations you're looking to have in-person meetings, including your committee meetings. So the Brown Acted meetings specifically. So we can move forward and initiate a ADA inspection assessment that the city clerk's office also requires. I believe that's it for that front. For your elections, Lene was here, so she's always fantastic and covers all the details. Super professional department that I love to collaborate with. So thank you for giving her some generous time to do so and cover the specifics. I want to specifically thank John and Lori, who are leading your elections outreach. I want to acknowledge that they've reached out to me in the department on a regular basis to get clarification and information and seeking support. So thank you for that. And the offer's there for anybody on the board, including the public, to reach out to me to discuss one-on-one any concerns, any information, any need for clarification. It is a complicated process sometimes to participate as a candidate and a voter. So I want to make myself available, even though I have all the trust that the city clerk's elections division is doing a fantastic job. So my number is 213-978-1462. I almost forgot it there for a second. 978-1462. And then our department number, in case I'm not available or you want a quicker answer, it's 213-978-1551. And if you're too shy and you want to email me, my email address is octavino.rios, R-I-O-S, at lacity.org. And I won't repeat some of the other tools that you have at your disposal for your elections, because I've done that a few times, like your Nextdoor and Canva. But if you have any questions, board members, let me know. Last, I do have two legislative updates here that pertain to the governance of our neighborhood council system. It's older news, but if you didn't catch it, the city council did approve two council files related to establishing a city position on amending the Brown Act to permit city neighborhood councils to choose to operate remote meetings indefinitely. So I'm going to give you those council files. It's 23-0002-S16 and 23-0002-S17. So they're all the same except for the last numbers. So it's S16 and S17. The other legislative item. Oh, so both, just to clarify, these two council files are asking the state to take this into consideration for legislative amendments. So we don't have direct authority as a city to amend a state law. So we work through the cities and through the mayor's state legislative program to advocate on our behalf for changes and resources. So that's where these two advocating motions are going. So more information, of course, on the city clerk's office when you type in those numbers, and you'll get the full breadth of what we're asking as a city. And I believe that's it. I want to thank everybody for just a great start to the new year. I want to wish everybody a wonderful Valentine's Day tomorrow, Tuesday, unfortunately, right? So, but have fun for those who are having dinner. We are off on the 20th, so that's President's Day. So enjoy that holiday and enjoy Black History Month. Thank you all, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Octaviano. We're going to go to our board. I see 3 hands up again, as I see them on my screen. Melanie, Craig, and then Victor. So Melanie, you're up.
Hi, Octaviano. Just a couple updates. We approved the $200 for the Zoom account on our yearly budget, fiscal budget. So we were ahead out the gate on this when the year began for the fiscal year. We've already got it approved. So we don't have it on this agenda because it's been already way ahead of time. Also, I've already done all the work for our meeting place and done the application and all that. And we've done our ADA thing and all of that. The only problem that we've run it up against right now is processing this, because they are saying possibly we're going to have to pay to meet at the rec center because it's out of normal business hours when they meet. And so we'll have to pay for staff to be there. Also set up and take down of the tables, because we have to have our tables in it set up a certain way. So the problem is I haven't received an answer yet because they're still going over it at Leslie at the region level and reviewing it. So that's a problem, because if they are going to charge us, then the process is it has to come back to the board to approve those fees, because they aren't in our budget at this time to pay for a meeting place. So it's going to have to come back to the board and be approved. And so there's going to have to be some sort of workaround where they, like, knowing that we're going to do that at the next meeting, allow us to meet into the gym for our in-person if we have to go that route for our 13th of March meeting.
And thanks for that information. That adds to the stress, I'm sure. So sorry about that. In the past years, did the center charge?
No,
for the
we've
use of
always
that?
met there for free.
Oh, okay, okay, that's what I thought.
And if I can just add, Octaviano, they also did the setup of our room too.
Okay,
For free.
for free. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting different. I haven't heard a lot of feedback because neighborhood councils are still reaching out to their facilities. But I know for some city facilities, there are some charges because of overtime, staffing. You know, some of these facilities close, you know, at regular office hours, 5:30, 6 o'clock. So overtime is involved, even with libraries that close at 8 o'clock, right? You know, let's talk offline. I don't have an answer. Obviously, I won't make a commitment that it'll continue to be free. I can't make those kind of. I don't have that authority, but
Right.
I think answers are something that we should seek out as to why the cost now, and how quick and can it be invoiced in the future. I know that, of course, you can't pay for it unless you approve it. But I'm thinking if you're able to get identify those costs. I'm trying to wrap it up here, Mr. Chair. Sorry. If you're able to identify those costs specifically from them, and maybe nudge them in a respectful way and friendly way. And I'd hate to ask for this, but maybe a special meeting to at least get those costs out of the way to cover the cost for March. And I know there's other pending things going on legislatively and internally with the city that hopefully we'll get some good news that extends our ability to meet virtually, but no promises there. So we're just asking all of our neighborhood councils. It may or may not happen. Let's just be prepared to meet in person in March.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Octaviano.
Thank you, Melody.
Craig, you're up.
Hi. So this has never come, the meeting place has never come before the board. It's been basically they've decided that's where they want to do it. Unfortunately, the acoustics at Peck Park are horrible. I've become hearing impaired, and I know that my hearing aids will not be able to handle the acoustic situation at the facility, but they've gone ahead with this anyways. So where do I put in my ADA complaint?
Well, the Department on Disability is a partner of ours. So they're working with us on the various physical accommodations that are required under federal law. But they also assist and inform on other accommodation requests. I'll identify the contact information if you'd like, and I can email you. Unless
Yes,
you already
please.
have it.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm shocked that the board would go ahead with this without discussing it with all the board members and seeing whether there was other options. But I for one have never found the auditory experience at Peck Park to be anything but challenging. Even when I ran the sound system, but now I know it'll be excruciatingly horrible for me to try and listen and hear a board meeting. Thank you for your time, and I'll look forward to seeing your information.
Thank you, and I'll ask on the back end too, because I know we asked a while back. I think it might have been last year, where everything's last year now because it's already the beginning of the year, but. Boards did submit board approved locations via a portal of ours. So I'll look at that and then I'll work with your board as well to confirm the location. Thank you.
Victor, you're up.
Hi, Octaviano. I've got a couple questions. One, with those 2 information sessions you mentioned, when you register for them, normally when there's multiple dates, when you register for something, you can choose which date. This time with this, it just, you register, but then it just gives you a confirmation that you registered, but it doesn't send you anything. It doesn't tell you to choose a session or anything like that. So what is supposed to happen as far as that goes? And the second thing is, if with these delays in getting in-person meeting locations approved, if for some reason it doesn't get approved in time for the next meeting, then what happens as far, I mean, as things are now, obviously we know things can change regarding the Zoom and stuff. But as things are now, if an in-person meeting location is not approved in time, can we continue to meet by Zoom? Are we not allowed to? What's the ruling on that?
So, so the last month that neighborhood council is going to meet via Zoom is this month. So by the 28th, so starting March 1st. So I've been assured that the turnaround is pretty quick right now in working with the Department on Disability for the inspections and also the city clerk's office. So we all had a meeting with the city clerk's office on the processing of paperwork, and they're ready. They're ready. So let's just work on getting those locations and that information submitted as soon as possible. I think my biggest concern is the other additional committee locations that haven't been submitted or identified by the neighborhood council. So my ask is for you to submit that as soon as possible with the address, with a contact person. I'll resend the link to what the form with the form. So all that information that's required is there, and then we'll go from there. And then just keep me posted. Don't wait if you have any questions or if you have any hiccups like the ones identified tonight. Let me know. And then with the information session, it's probably something that I just need to make sure that they're aware of, that some technical issues of not being able to choose the session, and also receiving confirmation so you get assurance that you're actually going to be able to go to the one that you wanted. Thanks, Victor, for bringing that up.
Okay, but back to the in-person meeting location, you really didn't answer the question.
Okay.
If things, yes, I understand people are trying to work through stuff and make sure it gets done on time and so on. But if something happens, like you could even use, for example, the ones who haven't submitted things yet. If we/they do not have an approved meeting location to meet in person, and the Zoom option ends at the end of February, what happens after February? Do we not meet? Do we still, can we still use the Zoom even though it's not officially authorized? What is the ruling on that? What happens if we don't have an in-person meeting place?
So I don't have a more elaborate or detailed response, except that neighborhood councils are not allowed to meet with Brown Acted meetings specifically. So those that require agenda postings in compliance with the Brown Act, those meetings are not to be held virtually. All the other ones, like your events that some neighborhood councils have, your candidate forum, you're able to use Zoom for those things. So let me just draw that distinction. So I can see Lori raising her hand already and asking for clarification. So the candidate forum, I don't believe, and we need to get confirmation still after review with the city attorney's office, but depending on how robust you want some of these events and that board members participate. But for Brown Acted meetings, you're not to use your Zoom meeting starting March 1st. What the consequences are after that, I'd have to circle back with you, and I'm hoping that we'd be able, as closer to March we get, and it might be a case-by-case basis, that we work with each of the neighborhood councils on these obstacles so we can try to address them, in hopes that we don't have to cross that bridge of saying nope, you can't have a meeting, or you have to cancel it, or you have to postpone it to another week. You know, there's a lot of different scenarios and alternatives that that we can exhaust. But we definitely don't want to hurt you, you know, because of having to meet in person, but we do want to help you, and we want to provide that help as soon as possible.
Thank you, Victor. Melanie, you have already made a
Yeah, just a
statement.
clarification.
No,
Just a
hang on a second.
clarification.
Hang on a second. I'm gonna go with John. He hasn't said anything, and then you can clarify after John. John, go ahead.
Yeah, Octaviano, you know, I've done some research, and so has Melanie. And the Peck Park is, we've been there, and it's the sound's not that bad. But the thing is this, there are no other places, and Peck Park is ADA approved and everything. And no matter where we go, okay, we don't have that many options. And I'm quite sure Mel's gonna tell you the same thing. We do not have many I even tried to get us to go at the Assistance League, but because of their policies and what they are, we cannot hold it in, and that's a beautiful place over there. So as of right now, because of March, we are starting this, you know, that's the only place, and that's why Melanie has gone through to get the paperwork for permits and everything else over there. So it's not like, you know, what do we do? Go to Raffaello's restaurant and hold it over there upstairs? I mean, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to find places that'll plus allow us, and that is approved by the, you know, the city attorney and everything. So.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Melanie, go ahead and make your.
Yeah, I just want to clarify for Octaviano that we have had all our ADA inspections and all that already. I've got the paperwork. They were sent out to the whole board that we are ADA approved already for Peck Park. And was going to, John, thank you. We've searched, John and I have called all around to find different places that we can meet, and talked to LAPD. We talked to the Assistance League. There just really is no other place that will let us meet in their facility. The schools won't let us. It's a problem. And so we're kind of like hamstringed with this facility to meet there. And so our biggest loophole that we're trying to get through is getting the regional office to tell us what the fees are, or if there's no fees, and sign off on the permit that we can meet there. That's where our obstacle is right now.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Melanie. So we'll, you know, if it helps for me to nudge the contact to maybe get a response, let me know. Let's talk offline. And I know there seems to be a lot of interest in your meeting locations or location, just for consideration for a future meeting, if you want to, in order to avoid any kind of communication issue here tonight on the topic that's not on the agenda. I don't believe, maybe consider a future agenda item for it. You know, I'm here to provide that support, that flexibility as much as we can. And of course, the Brown Act is a state thing, so hopefully you're not ready to shoot the messenger here.
I'll talk offline to you, Octaviano.
All right, thanks, Melody. Appreciate it.
So what I'm just going to make a quick comment here, and we're going to have to move on because we still have Jocelyn from the mayor's office to report. I appreciate the late notice on concern about our location by Mr. Goldfarb. So perhaps, Mr. Goldfarb, as you're filing your complaints, you could also help us find another location, should, you know, in your search. So please help us in that way too. Victor, one last comment, please.
Point of order. That was totally unresponsible. Irresponsible.
Yeah, okay, fine. Let's go on. Victor, go ahead.
Just not related to this, just a quick note that Gwen Henry is now fully compliant with her training, so she is back on the panelist side.
Thank you. Welcome, Gwen. What time are we showing her coming on board?
Thank you.
I'm gonna check the timestamp of the email she sent me, but approximately 7:30, but I'll get the final time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome, Gwen. So I'm gonna go ahead. Octaviano, thank you for all the information. Thank you for offering to help. I think we're still gonna have some challenges. I just kind of feel that, but we'll go ahead and with your help, and perhaps maybe with the we may want to get oh boy, I'm drawing a blank. Tim McCosker's office, maybe to help us if Amanda's still on board. Maybe we can have a conversation with Amanda offline to see how he might be able to assist with allowing us to use the facility for the greater good of the community. Gwen, please make it quick.
Yes, I don't know if this has already been gone over, but the Wi-Fi issue, there was actually a funding that was given to Peck Park for Wi-Fi and other infrastructure. And it was, there was a whole installation that was going to occur, and that was shelved during the pandemic, and that has not been returned. So it would be good to possibly address where that funding went and get that done post haste. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you, Gwen. Okay, Octaviano, thanks again, and we'll have some more conversation, I'm sure, offline on many items. We're going to go ahead and ask Jocelyn Dominguez from the mayor's office to.
Amanda's hand is up, Ray.
Yeah, you do have a hand up.
Okay, well, now I see it. Okay, Amanda, go ahead before we get to Jocelyn. Amanda?
I just wanted to let you know I'm still here, and definitely we can talk offline about whatever assistance the council office can lend.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. Jocelyn Dominguez from the mayor's office. You're up.
Hi, everyone. This is Jocelyn, Harbor and Watts Area Representative for the Office of Mayor Bass. So on Saturday, the mayor was actually down here in San Pedro. She joined the NWSPNC and Councilmember McCosker's office for the NAACP San Pedro Wilmington branch street dedication or street square dedication unveiling. So she did provide some brief remarks there and also participated in the unveiling of the street square. So super happy that she was able to come down here. And I know I saw a few folks in this body that were down there. So super excited about that. I do have just brief updates to share with you all. And I know Lori already gave her her update as well. So hopefully none of this is repeated information. If it is, I apologize. But on Friday, Mayor Karen Bass did issue Executive Directive 3, and this is meant to maximize the use of city-owned property for temporary and permanent housing as she moves Los Angeles forward with an urgent and strategic approach to addressing the homelessness crisis. So this directive requires that the mayor is provided within 20 days an inventory of unused and underutilized city property that could be used for temporary or permanent housing with on-site services. And each of those sites will then be assessed. And then based on those assessments, the mayor's office will designate what type of housing should be built on which location. The executive directive also requires that the city departments prioritize temporary and permanent housing with on-site services and eliminate any unnecessary reviews, paperwork, and red tape. Also, last week on Thursday, the mayor was joined by the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency Secretary Lourdes Castro Ramirez to announce that the California Department of Housing and Community Development will award nearly 105 million, 15% of the total awards in the state to 17 projects yielding 1,800 units in the city of Los Angeles. So super exciting news there. And those are the only updates I have, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Jocelyn. We'll open it up for any comments or questions. Let's go with the board first. Any hands? I don't see any at this time. And any of our attendees, any questions for Jocelyn Dominguez from the mayor's office? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jocelyn. No hands up. You made it through. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So I don't believe we have any other representatives. If so, can you raise your hand and bring attention to yourself? So just in case I'm missing you, as I look at the list here. Don't see any others. I think we're okay. So thank you all. Victor Christensen, go ahead.
Just a quick update. Gwen's arrival time is 7:22 p.m. for the minute taker.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to, we have a few presentations. We have quite a few this time, and I'm going to use my authority here to help out a little bit with another set of guests here. So under the executive committee, we're going to have a brief presentation of the downtown San Pedro archway sign. So we're going to go ahead and get our presentation from the Red Cross from Margie, and then Josh and Adele will talk a little bit about hybrid meetings. And then we'll also do the from the executive committee side, the archway sign by Alan and Janine. So let's go ahead and start off with our Red Cross presentation. And this will be from Margie Perscheid. I hope I said
you got it right. Thank you so much. One of
you.
very few who's ever gotten it right. I want to thank the board and all the members here for allowing me to present today. My name is Margie Perscheid. I'm a volunteer with the American Red Cross Greater Long Beach and South Bay chapter. And who's running the slideshow here, so I know who to speak to?
That's Melanie.
Oh, hey, Melanie, you can scroll. You're going to be jumping around a little bit. Oh, the one above, yeah, with the pink map. Up one, perfect. I know that we're very, very short of time this evening, so I'm going to kind of hit the main slides with the main information and then invite you all to download a copy and take a look at the individual slides that we don't cover, because there are websites that you can go to for additional information. The very last slide has my email address, margie.perscheid@redcross.org. Please reach out to me if there's anything that our chapter can do in the community to help, to assist, to participate in events and so forth. So to start out, this is a real brief view of the chapter, just to give you an idea. The pink that you see in the map is the Greater Long Beach and South Bay area. We cover really El Segundo and Hawthorne all the way down to Long Beach, and it's a large territory. There are, I think, 5 or 6 chapters in the LA region. We are one of the most engaged and the most active, and we have a good sized territory. Our executive director is Amy Papageorgis. She works out of her office in Long Beach. And if you need to reach her, please reach out to me and I will forward all of her contact information. I also included some of our key numbers to call for specific issues. And I included these because I really hope this presentation falls in the hands of members of the community. So please feel free to share it far and wide. because these numbers are to be used. If you see a need for disaster relief, we are always engaged by fire. So if there is an emergency, we will get the call from fire if we need to open a shelter or get people somewhere to assist. But you can also call that number if you think that there is a need for us to participate. We have a number for military support. The Red Cross started as an organization providing military support during the Civil War. So we are definitely engaged in providing support to the military, and that's the number you can call. We also have a media line, a general inquiry line, and a national inquiries line. And our chapter website is also located there, so you can get a lot more information about us there. Next slide. This is just some high-level information about what we do around the world, across the country, but I wanted to point out the last line. We are deeply engaged in our communities for all of our chapters. So since the 1st of July, 2022, we have assisted in 58 emergencies in San Pedro area, in the chapter area. Most of those are home fires. That is the emergency we respond to the most nationwide. People think always of the big ones, you know, Hurricane Ian, Bobcat fire, but home fires are what we are responding to all the time. We have helped 274 of our local residents, and we have opened 528 cases for military members and their families. So we are deeply engaged in our community. And I wanted to make sure that you knew that, because that's why I'm here. I want to make sure that you know we want to help where we can. Next slide. Thanks, Melanie. And one of the reasons that I'm glad that I'm here this month, well, there's two reasons. Number one, it's Black History Month. The Red Cross is deeply engaged in the fight against sickle cell anemia, and the blood donations that we collect are helping sickle cell patients all the time. So as we move into March, which is National Red Cross Month, I really would encourage everyone to consider either donating blood, or if you work for a company that has the capacity to sponsor a blood drive, consider that. You can reach out to me and I can give you all the help you need to reach our scheduling organization, to put you on the web page or the phone number where you can make an appointment to donate blood. But that is a huge part of the Red Cross mission around the world. We encourage people to consider volunteering. We offer training. If you need CPR training or other kinds of training, we offer that. And obviously, we are always looking for financial donations. That is something that we rely on. 90% of American Red Cross staff is volunteer staff. So we really do rely on donations and on volunteers. But I want to point out one important thing that I'd like to make this neighborhood council aware of. I mentioned home fires being one of the, well, it really is. It's the emergency we respond to the most. Have any of you heard of Red Cross Sound the Alarm events?
No.
I'm getting head shaking no. Well, we're having one on March 18th in Artesia. And what these are events where we literally go out and install smoke detectors in homes for free. And I don't know if you're aware that the American Red Cross does this, but fire prevention is as big a part of what we do in the face of fire emergencies as actually responding in the case of a fire. So if you see any opportunities in the community for the Red Cross to work with this council, with the city, with whatever the right entity would be, to sponsor a Sound the Alarm event in the harbor area, we would be very open to discussing that. And because fires are such a big part of the emergency landscape in any urban city, it's something that we would definitely welcome working with whoever on. So if you would like any more information about that, by all means, get in touch with me and we can talk about that as a potential future activity. The next slide is, there we go. We do have a big event coming up in May. I want to make you aware of this. It's called our Hometown Heroes Award. We honor local residents who have performed heroic acts in the community. This event will be in Carson on May 18th. And if you have any interest in attending or learning more about it, the website is there. As you move on to the next slides, and we can stop here, I do want to let everyone know this graphic really is the picture of how the American Red Cross functions. We provide humanitarian services in the form of disaster services, services to the armed forces, and also international services. We have our entire biomedical operation, the blood donations, blood research, and so forth, and then finally training. The slides that follow will give you more information about each of those, including websites that you can go to for additional information. And then, as I said, the very last slide is my contact information. So if you see any opportunities for us to come in and work with the council on putting together a sound the alarm or any other kind of service, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. And that is basically it. I really appreciate it. This is kind of the abbreviated, presentation. But as I said, please contact me if you need additional information or if you see a good opportunity for us to be engaged. Thank you.
Margie, thank you very much for being here tonight. We do have some hands up to ask maybe make comments or ask a question. You're okay to answer a couple questions?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Terrific. Okay, let's go ahead and start with Victor and then Melanie, you're up. So Victor, you're first.
Hi, Margie. As a longtime 23 3/4 gallon blood donor myself, and my dad was 3 units short of 20 before he had to stop.
Thank you.
I would like, and also, more to the point, the fact that the blood supply is so low pretty much constantly. I think it would be good to put on that, I think it was that second slide where you had the information phone numbers, put the phone number for blood services and maybe a little more information within the body of the presentation, but at least on that slide. So people can call and find out how they can donate and where and things like that.
Yes, and absolutely. There is a slide. If you go up a little further, there is a little bit further up, but right here, and actually the one, I'm not sure if it's the one before. Oh, the next one. Sorry about that. One more. Back to biomedical. Oh, back down the other. I'm sorry, Melanie, the other direction. Yeah, back down to the biomedical slide. Yeah, there is the website, redcrossblood.org is where you go to make a donation. And what I'll do, Victor, is I'll go ahead and I'll add the phone number for blood services on that second page and on this page and send you a copy that you can post on the website. But the phone numbers will all be on redcrossblood.org. What I would recommend is we are doing everything in an automated fashion. We actually have a blood donor app now too. So I recommend if you are a longtime donor to take a look at that app because it goes through the whole process for you. So it's a good one, but I will make those adjustments so that you have those numbers there.
Yes, I do have that app, and for the people who don't already know, this presentation in its current form is posted with the agenda and supporting documents. So you can get most of this information right now without having to wait for the updated presentation.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Melanie, you're up.
Yeah, Margie, I'm the public safety chair. And so I'll get in contact with you about the bell campaign that you have for the fire bell campaign.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe we could set up something for this area.
That would be terrific. I know we have done them I think we've done them in Carson recently. Artesia is the one that's coming up. Lakewood, I think we did one in Lakewood that was very successful, and they want us to come back. So it's just a great community service, and we are so happy to do it. So by all means, Melanie, get in touch with me and we would be happy to talk about that.
Sounds good.
Great, thanks.
Okay, do I see any other hands up? I don't. Margie, I like to kind of brag on somebody, and if you give me a couple minutes,
Sure.
My daughter spent close to 15 years with the Red Cross as a mass care specialist. She was sent all over the country, and it was through her that I realized just how vital the role of the Red Cross is, not even locally, but nationally and
Yeah.
even internationally. So I'm so appreciative of all the work you all do.
Well, kudos to your daughter, and thank her for her service. We are grateful for every bit of volunteer service that our volunteers provide. And that's dedication. 15 years as a mass care specialist. Oh yes, that's dedication. Thank her. And thank you all. I appreciate the time.
You're welcome. Join us anytime. Let us know when we could be of assistance or anything we can do for the Red Cross. And
I will do that. And you actually, I live in Northwest San Pedro, so you are my neighborhood council. So this was a lucky meeting. I was laughing when we were talking about the stop signs, because I thought, pick a stop sign on Westmont, and they're running through all of them. So yeah, I'm very happy to join you all.
Well, feel free to add to our list, okay?
I will.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next presentation, and that is Josh and Adele talking a little bit about what's going on with hybrid meetings and EVG, I would imagine.
Perfect.
Oh,
Can you all hear me?
yes, we can.
Great. So I believe last month you guys voted on approving yourselves to be in the pilot program. We're looking forward to presenting that here to the council very soon. A lot of the stuff that I was going to say, Octaviano already got to, so we can save a little bit of time on that. As far as major updates, we're going back to in-person, as of March 1st. And it looks like they're trying to make an effort for committee meetings. But as far as I know, if you don't have a proper venue that's city approved, you should just expect to not meet, is the basic understanding I have. It seems as though this problem is going to get resolved sooner rather than later is what it's looking like right now. And it kind of depends on what your board has for locations. Luckily, it seems like you guys have a public location, which is to your benefit as compared to others. But the fact that you have to pay a rent on it now is something that needs to be discussed. I have a feeling a lot of NCs are going to be getting, shall we say, sticker shock on going back to in-person as to, all of the things that means. That being said, since I don't want to take a lot of time, please ask me any questions that you want. I'm happy to answer any and everything that you got. But I just want to offer you guys some time saving.
Thank you, Josh. We do have a few hands up. Again, I'll take them in the order that I see them on my screen. We'll start with Gwen, then Victor, and then Melanie. Gwen, you're up first.
Once again, I would like to reinforce that Peck Park is a special public park, and that it is not the funding for it comes from the community. So we, unlike Wilmington and a lot of other public parks that already have it installed, there is no Wi-Fi here. And I hope that can be facilitated, especially since, from what I understand, there was a scheduled connection that was supposed to be put in just before the pandemic hit, and the budget was there prior to. So I hope that someone can address that, find that budget.
I can certainly address your comment. So as far as I know right now, we're going back to in person. If your location doesn't have Wi-Fi, we're talking not having to do anything with the pilot program. As far as if your location doesn't have Wi-Fi, then you're going to vote for an option that doesn't have those kinds of virtual characteristics for your stakeholders. They all have to be there in person regardless, whether there's Wi-Fi or not, right? The Wi-Fi is just influencing, can your meeting get out virtually or not? But as far as the current law reads, so we're talking about AB 2449 that got passed last year, that law doesn't care about it. It only cares that the main priority is that you're back in person. That being said, there's a state Senate bill that I think everybody in the NC system got an email about last week, that's being discussed to change some of this. That being said, it seems as though the people who wrote that weren't necessarily aligned with what we need from Sacramento. So it looks like going to be some kind of back and forth process here with Dunn sending some information through the mayor's legislative team over to them to change that. Then getting back to the pilot program, as far as the pilot program is concerned, one of the things that we were asking for in the funding for equipment is mobile hotspots. So that would be multiple per NC, so that, maybe you need one at your main venue, maybe you need one at like a senior center or a teen center or some such things like that. I don't know the nature of how you run your meetings, but one of our goals in the EVG thing was to try to offer flexibility in terms of allowing you to have Wi-Fi and internet capabilities at your various locations that you have meetings. I hope that helped.
Thank you, Gwen, for the question or the comment. Victor,
thank
you're up. Victor?
Josh, was that Senate bill you were referring to, 411?
That's correct.
Okay, has there, I know it's a very new Senate bill. Has there been any change since about a week ago?
I do know, and I believe, again, we got this in an update on an email, that there was a massive problem with the original language. The original language states appointed for regarding neighborhood councils, when really it needs to say elected. Supposedly, apparently they're aware of this. I have not spoken to Senator Portantino's office about it directly, so I couldn't tell you for sure. I can say that I have been in contact with my state senator office, and they wanted a detailed rundown on the whole thing. And they said that they were going to be doing something about that. So hopefully they can help give us a hand here as well.
So at this point, no significant changes?
No, I mean, I think that it's not going to be super fast for Sacramento is like super slow for like human beings. So, if it takes them a month, that's probably the fastest thing they will have done in my entire time of being involved with neighborhood councils. But still, like for us, a month means, meetings are getting missed and problems are still happening. So I think we got to be a little bit patient. I think it might just be sit through March, maybe a tiny bit of April, maybe with a little bit of luck, although no promises.
Okay, thank you.
Melanie, you're up.
Hey, Josh.
Hello.
Okay. So Debbie Downer here. So what, we go in person in March, and if they're dragging their feet, and Sacramento's not real quick at doing amendments and doing state, motions and all that, it's always slow with them passing bills and making adjustments and all that.
Sure.
So we've got neighborhood councils that are probably going to have to go in person in March, and then maybe they sit on it, maybe they weigh in something in May. Isn't it kind of like pedaling backwards if we're already in person? Aren't we kind of like, people are going to be like, what? We're going to go back to Zoom and do hybrid and whatever. Why? We're already back in person.
Well, I mean, you got to understand the NC system has 99 NCs. So let's imagine a spectrum from like, I want 100% virtual meetings to I want 50-50 in the middle, like a hybrid thing, let's say, to I want 100% virtual all the way on the other end. There are NCs scattered all the way across, with a whole lot of them sitting on both ends of like, I want 100% back to in person. Our NC, our attendance has fallen apart since we had virtual. And then there are other NCs who are saying, we don't ever want to go back to in person again because our attendance is so much better because of virtual. And neither side of them are wrong. I mean, the facts are the facts. Some of them are doing better. Some of them are doing worse. I think that the best thing that the city could do is provide us the equipment and the flexibility, including appealing to Sacramento, to change the rules such that we could say everybody could have, like a 50-50 hybrid thing if they want to. If they want to go 100% in person, go for it. You want to be 100% virtual, go for it. But every NC should have a chance to be able to do the right thing for their NC, and not us trying to say, hey, 99 NCs, all you guys got to like row in the same direction, do the exact same thing, no flexibility for anybody, which is kind of the system that we're in right now. And
Right.
so it's going to be better, I think, because
Right,
we'll
but
have
it
choices.
looks like the way things are right now, the way they stand right now, everybody's not going to have a choice. We're all forced to go in person with no hybrid, no nothing March 1st.
Well, I mean, yes. And I would say that, like, if we want to look at that in a vacuum, that sure, that's a giant problem. But, like, I can also get out of the vacuum and say, well, the city's been working on this EVG stuff. It's seeming like that they're pretty jazzed with it. We were working with Sacramento to get something happening. So, like I said, maybe March, April, we're not going to be in a great place. I don't know if everybody remembers, but back in 2020, we had to take what, a 2-3 month break from NC stuff. I think it was like March to May or June or something that we had to get off, when we switched forcibly from in-person to Zoom. At least in this case, we're still going to have GA meetings, so y'all will still be able to come back and meet here on the second Monday every month, in person. I mean, we still can meet. It's just the flexibility that we have is going to be changing for a short bit. But luckily, we've been working on stuff, and we have people who want to help us so that we could be in a better spot here in the long run.
Okay. Gwen, did you have something real quick? I see your hand up again. Something
Yes.
pretty quick.
Very quick. So with all of this, you are collecting data, and I want to give you a heads up. A couple of people have taken different services of hotspots up there, and it
Okay.
does not work up there. So, but with that, what's the extent of data? Are you going to be getting feedback from the stakeholders as to the success or the lack of success?
So you're saying when we're evaluating the pilot programs, you're talking, like down the road here, y'all have been doing it for a while, and we want to come in and measure, the success. Is that what you're talking about? What we want to use for those measurement items?
The success and whether a lot of the NCs can use the hybrid thing, because we actually have a location where I don't think we're going to have that availability, and that might be a bit of discrimination if it proceeds forward, where a lot of NCs do go hybrid, especially if the requirement is to go live.
Okay, so just so that we're clear, that there wouldn't be any kind of compliance violation for that with the way that the law is written. The meetings are supposed to be in person. Okay, that's the way that the law is written. If you do anything virtual right now through 2449, you have to be in person first, and if you hit these criteria, you can do some virtual stuff. I don't think, from my understanding of the way 411 reads, that they're changing any of that aspect in terms of their perspective on these things. I mean, I think that if they change the rule set, we'll have to examine that. And the city attorney sometimes has opinions that I'll say are interesting. And we may have to deal with some of that. But I mean, to be honest, I'll probably come back next month and have different things to tell you.
Okay.
That's where we're at in the process right now. All I can say is it looks like this is a plane that's going to be landed. The pilot is still alive. The pilot is still in control of the plane. There may be some rocky weather, but there's lights down on the landing strip, and it looks like it's going to get home. That's all I can say. I can't promise because of that storm that's out there, but it's all looking good. Everything is still lined up, and we still got the right people in the right places doing all the stuff that's necessary. We hope to try to fix your equipment stuff, but I mean, I understand that there's certain geographical limitations in certain places around the city. Hills, I guess big hills or mini mountains or whatever you want to call them. For certain neighborhood councils, it's going to be a problem. I mean, it's going to be a big problem, and we may have to examine that. It may take the neighborhood commissioners changing some of the rules for venues, because there are some NCs, like for instance, have a problem for even having a GA location, period, right now. I mean, like they don't have a Peck Park, or they don't have a place like we do at our place, and they have some options outside of their NC boundaries. And I don't know, some of these things may need to be addressed, because again, I have a feeling we're going to run into some rather interesting surprises in our return back to in person, because again, we got these 99 NCs, and it's a lot of different cases coming from around. Any of you who've ever been to the other NCs, you all know what I'm talking about. It's very different when you go from place to place, and there's not a whole lot of consistency other than we all use the Brown Act and have a bunch of boilerplate stuff in common. That being said, we're looking out for y'all, and hopefully the pilot program will go off and things will be great for your NC. And then that's through what I have to concentrate on.
All right, Josh. Well, thank you so much for sticking with us here at this point. I'm going to.
Thank you. Please feel free to email me if you guys have any questions about any of this. I'm always happy to help you, and I'm here for your whole board. And y'all can let me know if you want me to come back again. I'm happy to come back anytime that you guys want.
All right. Thank you.
March 13th.
March 13th. Well, I'll put it on my calendar then. Maybe we'll see. I will speak with your president about your location and all of the details about that to see how that works out. But it's on my calendar. We will do our best to figure it out.
I understood. I just wanted to give you the date.
Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna have to move on. We got, like I said, I wanted to move up something from our let's see, executive committee. That will be number one, and we're going to move it up.
Point of order, this is not agendized. All presentations have to be agendized.
It's agendized. If you'll look at your agenda.
Show me where.
So I'm not going to get into this with you, Craig. I'm going to.
I said it's not agendized. The only thing on there that says is a report from the executive committee. This is not an executive committee report. It's not appropriate to agendize something because you're taking personal privilege. This is a violation of the Brown Act.
Okay.
You should know that.
Thank you. So if we could.
And you're going to do whatever you want anyways, right?
Thank you. So if we could go ahead and get the land, let me see if I want to say it right here. The downtown San Pedro archway sign, if we can give them an opportunity to talk a little bit about what they're hoping to discuss. So we have Alan Johnson and Janine Rizzi. If we can bring them up so that they can talk about it. And I think there might be maybe a I'm losing my head here, but what do you call it? Presentation, some you know what I mean. I think Janine might have it.
Thank you, Ray. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Neighborhood Council, for your time tonight. I'd just like to give a couple quick thanks. You mentioned Janine's name. She's really, there's a lot of people behind this. She's the main has carried most of the weight for this. So I want to thank her and ask that if be possible to promote her so she can do her share the slides.
There you go.
I also wanted to just give a quick shout out to our councilman, Tim, who was president of the bid when this kernel took hold a couple years ago. It's been in the paper now for a few years. We've been working on it, but it was really Tim's leadership and time with as the president of the bid. For those that don't know what the bid is, the Business Property Owners Business Improvement District. So I'll refer to it from the P bid from now on. And as you can tell, I'm trying to go fast. I also want to apologize. You are our first public presentation, not to our own board or committees that know about this well. So I hope not to leave any important facts out. And if there's time, be happy to answer any questions that you guys will have. Also, it was on the front page of the Breeze today. Thank you, Donna. It's also on our Discover San Pedro website, discoversanpedro.com, and our website, our Facebook page and Instagram page. So for things that I've left out or for more details, please refer to those and reach out to me or Janine, and we'll get you all the information you need. So real quick, what the P bid is proposing here is a gateway sign at 6th and Harbor. You know, you've seen them. Santa Monica has an iconic one. Redondo Beach, Long Beach, San Diego is full. Their neighborhoods are full of them. It's just sort of an old-fashioned way of letting people know where they are. It really came from a desire to let folks that are driving in and out of Harbor Boulevard to waterfront events or just coming home, whoever, you know, Fleet Week and a Mother's Day at the fish market or just the concerts, whatever's going on the waterfront, that there's this wonderful little downtown full of art and shops and restaurants and entertainment. So this is really just to let those folks know on Harbor Boulevard, that high traffic area, that there's something up the street. I also want to let folks know that this is all done by assessments of our stakeholders, which are downtown property owners. So this isn't a publicly funded thing. It's on a public right of way. So that's why it's a rather public process in getting approvals and support. So that's why we're kind of reaching out to all the neighborhood councils, chambers, and other groups just to sort of, and we also would like to ask people to take the survey. Part of the whole process nowadays is to do a survey online where you answer some questions about downtown and wayfinding, and then get to vote on the 3 different options that we are putting forward. This all gets packaged together, hopefully with a letter of support from you guys if you guys think it worthy. And we would then present that to the Department of Cultural Affairs, who will hold a public meeting where everyone gets a chance to look at what made the list, got the highest number of votes, and have another opportunity to comment on it. So anybody, and as if people do take an interest and you have other people that you think that would be interested in voting on it, I encourage everybody here in tonight's meeting to reach out to those people. I think we'd really love a broad representation of the community. We'd love to have much input as we can. We're excited about the project and we're excited to present it to you. So with that, Janine will start kind of going through the slides. We're also working with San Pedro Electric Sign Company. Well, although they're in Wilmington, they were based here. They've been great to work with. They're taking great civic pride in this project. And so we're very excited about the committee that put together this presentation and what we've come up with. So as you can see from this first slide, it's at the corner of Harbor Boulevard and 6th Street. It's as close to Harbor Boulevard as Department of Cultural, DOT, Department of Transportation, DWP, Bureau of Engineering. We've gotten input from all of them. It's close to Harbor Boulevard as we can get and meet everyone's criteria. We did end up having to make it just one cantilevered sign, as you can see here, instead of a normal archway sign, because it would have landed in a DWP vault. So this is 3 options. Janine is going through them all. Basically the base of the support arm is the same. The top is the same. What we're really looking at, the 3 different options, are the sign itself. They all say the same thing. It's mostly shape and typeface and those kind of things. It was a strong desire of our group to make it relatively simple and straightforward, not try to pack too much information in it, in that, we wanted it, not that it would fool anybody that had been there forever, but at least, complement things like the city hall, things like, and stop here for a second, and the ferry building. This San Pedro, this is a neon sign, will be lit at night. And the idea was, again, a more old-fashioned, not in channels. The neon wouldn't be in channels, so the light will spill out and read the rest of the sign without too obtrusive, because there are residents around. So we wanted it to be able to read, but subtle, more subtle than with a bunch of different colors and too bright. So if I'll just allow Janine to continue to roll through the presentation. Now we're into the next option. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you have at the end, but I'm thinking it's in respect of everyone's time. We just roll through these options and then answer any questions you might have at the end. And I'll shut up for a minute. And that's it. I timed myself. I think we were 55 seconds. No, I'm teasing. It was probably a little longer than that. So depending on how much time you want to give us, Ray, I appreciate everyone's time here. Can we answer any questions? Is there any other information you want from us? What do you think?
Well, you do have I think an ask if I
Yes,
could.
I do.
And maybe you should put the ask out there.
Okay, we're looking again as part of our package that we're putting together for Department of Cultural Affairs. We're looking for letters of support for the sign, not necessarily for any one option of the sign. We're not really asking that you guys come together and pick one of the things. We figured it would make more sense that people just put their own personal preference, but more for the concept of the sign, that it would be helpful to downtown, it would look nice, it would be, help out our downtown, because that was the PBID's primary goal, is to really help bring and revitalize downtown. So the request is that we get a letter of support from the board of the neighborhood council. And here's a form letter that we provided, and just as a potential option.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open up to see if there's any questions. We'll start with the board. So if you have any questions or concerns or comments, can you raise your hand so we could share them? Okay, I don't see any hands coming up. Any of the attendees, if there's any questions or comments? Okay, I see a hand up, and that's Diane Nave. Diana?
Thank you. Yeah, just a quick comment. This is really exciting to see this. About several years ago, our board put together a number of things that we wanted to see happen in the downtown area, and one of them was a sign such as this. So it's kind of exciting to see it come into fruition. So thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Any other questions? Okay, I've seen from the board side, Victor Christensen, go ahead.
I assume this has already been taken into account, but since I'm not a trucker or familiar with the sizes, I assume 18 feet gives plenty of clearance over any semis that might be traveling that way. I don't know that they usually do, but I know they do on Harbor in parts. I just don't know about that part.
Yes, that was, it was sort of an exhaustive, it was an all hands on deck meeting with, like I said, Department of Transportation, Bureau of Engineering, Building Department. We general service, everyone participated, and this met all their criteria. They developed the criteria, and this sign was designed to meet that.
Okay, thanks.
All right. I do not see any other hands up. I'm gonna ask if we could consider writing a letter of support, but we're gonna need a motion since we don't have, this was kind of brought to us afterwards, after our meeting. So if anyone would be interested to make a motion.
I move that we draft a letter of support for the construction and placement of the sign.
Thank you, Chris. Do we get a second?
I'll second it.
And I didn't, who's seconding it?
I am John.
John, okay, John, thank you. We have had some discussion, but I'll call for discussion again. I see no hands from either, okay, someone did raise their hand and it looks like Victor Christensen once again.
Well, just to clarify, this is a motion to draft a letter, not necessarily use this template and fill in the names, correct?
That's right. It's draft a letter and but this is offered as maybe just as a guide or whatever.
Well, right, but we're not voting on whether to just take this template, put in our names and send it.
No, it's to write a letter
Okay.
of support. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, Victor, can we take the vote count, please?
Okay, John Barbera.
I had my hand up, Ray.
Whoop, sorry.
Okay, Melanie?
One concern I have is us blanket approving a letter before the board's actually seeing it.
Well, the
If we
board
aren't
has-
going to use this template, then we're asking the board to approve a letter before it's even drafted, right?
The motion was to draft the letter.
Draft the letter. I didn't say that we're taking this one just to draft the letter.
Oh, okay. So it's going to have to come back for
It
approval.
will come back to us for approval. Yes.
Okay, already, thank you.
You're welcome. So anyway, Victor, if you could take the vote count.
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye, Craig Goldfarb,
This is an illegal vote. It was not agendized. You cannot vote on it.
Cynthia Gagne,
No.
Gwen Henry, okay, Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Yes.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
okay, Gwen Henry, you back?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we have 11 ayes, 1 no, 1 nay, and 1 not voted.
Okay, the motion passes. Let me ask for a volunteer committee to see if they would like to draft the letter. I was kind of thinking maybe planning and land use, since you have the history with that, Diana. Would you think you would be willing to draft something for us? That, can you raise your hand or something to signify yay or nay?
Somebody else can do this, you know.
What's that?
Yes, we'll do it.
Thank you, Diana. Appreciate it. Okay, so Ellen Johnson, Janine Rizzi, thank you so much for hanging out with us for so long. I'm sure the whole meeting has been very entertaining to you. We welcome you back anytime.
Thank you so much. We'll keep you posted on the public meeting, and we'll be invited to the unveiling when and if it happens. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Let us know how we can participate, or the community can participate on the survey.
Absolutely, yes, please. The more participation, the better.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care.
You too.
All right, so let's go ahead and sorry for the dog barking in the background. So let's see, hang on just 1 second. Hang on, I'm trying to get my pages here straight. Can we, yeah, thank you.
On number 7.
We're on number 7. Okay, let's go to number 7. This is going to be the consent calendar. We have 3 items under the consent calendar for your consideration. It's A, the approval of the January 9th stakeholder meeting minutes. Item B is the resignation of Adrianita Reyes Cruz from the board and committees. And finally, the appointment of an animal shelter liaison, and that is Anna Rondu. God, I hope I said it right. Please correct me if I didn't. My apologies. With the oversight, I'd like to say with in partnership with Angela, just so that it's clear. So if I can get a motion for these 3 items.
So moved, Norman.
Second, Christensen.
Any discussion, any comments? I see no hands. Mr. Christensen, could you take a vote count, please?
Okay, John Barbera,
Aye.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb,
Abstain.
Cynthia Gagne,
I wasn't at the last meeting. I don't know if I can vote on this.
You are able.
Okay. Aye.
Gwen Henry,
Aye.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Aye.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Aye.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Yes.
Angela, well,
Oh, do I need to recuse?
I think so, probably,
Okay,
just to be safe.
no problem.
And Chris Valle,
Yes.
okay, that's 11 ayes, 1 abstention, 1 recusal.
Okay, very good. The motion passes. We'll go ahead and go to agenda item number 8, and these are our motions. And we'll start off with Melanie with the budget and finance. Hello, Melanie.
The first item we have is our MER. That is not out of committee because it wasn't ready. yet. They don't circulate these until the 7th of the month, and our meeting was the 1st. So basically we have $28,813.92 left. And we spent $2,272.92, mostly on office and elections. So again, this is not out of committee, so I need someone to move this and then a second.
I'll move it. Norman.
Okay,
Seconded by,
okay, and Chris, any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Victor,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris,
aye.
and Gwen.
Yes.
Okay, so next is the budget. So, basically the budget is, we have 2,900 in audio services, which looks like we're probably gonna have to use that. Coming up, 2,660 in virtual office, minute taker, and then food for meetings. Just to insert here too, the food for meetings, meeting in person, we won't be able to provide dinners like we have in the past with the certain protocols that they have set up. So it'll be just snacks. So if you want to eat dinner, you have to eat ahead of time or bring it on your own, because we can't individualize it. So this will be used to buy like snack type items that you can have, and water. Let's see, and then there's $6,167.62 left in unallocated outreach funds. 8,000 in neighborhood purpose grants. And yeah, so that's what we have left. So this is out of committee. Any discussion? Chris?
Do we still have a relationship with Andrew, the sound guy? Is he still contracted with the
Yeah, and
city?
he's still been doing work.
Okay,
So I'm gonna, after this meeting, we're gonna have to get in touch with him and see.
okay, so we will still have to talk to him, but we don't, I mean, if he's agreeable, then we don't necessarily have to go find, we don't have to source that from scratch.
Right,
Okay, thanks.
right. Any other questions? Discussion? Okay. Call for the vote. Thomas,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Victor,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Cynthia, Cynthia,
Yes.
Adam,
Aye.
Melanie, yes, Gwen,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris.
Aye.
Okay, so the next motion is for, I'll go past all of this first, is the request for the $5,000 to be used for a newsletter to be published as soon as possible for the to promote the elections with the candidates. This is out of committee. The funds are already allocated. This is just to use the money. So any discussion? Okay, so call for the vote. Thomas,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Victor,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Craig,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Adam,
Aye.
Gwen,
Yes, aye.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Aye.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris.
Aye.
Okay, and then the last one. We had allocated the $765 for the planting of the plants. This is the NPG submission by Palos Verdes Land Conservancy, so that they are going to purchase the plants for our NC, for our project, and then do that because it's a city to city entity. And so we can't fund it the normal way. An NPG has to step in and do the funding. So this is the NPG. And this is to do the plants. And this is describing what it will be used for. So that being said, this is out of committee. So any discussion on this? Craig?
I'm sorry, I was looking in the packet and I didn't see the MPG listed. Was it in the packet?
It's in the packet. Yeah. That's where I'm pulling this from, where I'm showing
I
it.
was just looking, I had been looking through it, so I'm asking, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, this is all pulled from whatever's online that I'm showing. It's all under the MER. It's a stream of documents that are all together, stitched together. Under the budget, there's the MER by itself and then the budget, and then all stitched if you scroll.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty, you're welcome. So, any other discussion? Okay, so call for the vote. Thomas,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Vic,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
Craig,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Adam,
Aye.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
Angela.
Yeah.
Chris.
Aye.
Okay, motion's passed. So you want me to do public safety, Ray?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, so next is public safety. First is, this is a letter to support Assembly Bill 23. And basically, Assembly Bill 23 is so that 950 is not the threshold for theft, that it's lowered so that it to $400, so it will become effective, so that it can, so it's more enforcement for theft, for like robbing Target, going in and stealing from Target. They can go in and take a bunch of stuff right now, and if it isn't exceeding $950, then it's a misdemeanor and they can leave. So this letter is basically at a meeting that would decrease the property theft of 950 to 400 as a felony, and would provide more active enforcement available for the commercial thefts rather than theft being a misdemeanor because it's under 950. Would encourage AB 23 to also include residential burglary to this bill. So any discussion? This is out of committee. Gwen?
Forgive me, this was actually for the last item. You didn't call my name, but I did want to just abstain. So if you could put that on the record, thank you.
The what?
For the last vote.
Oh, I didn't call your name?
Yeah, so
I'm
I
sorry.
abstained for the
You
previous
abstained?
vote.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry.
sorry. Craig?
One, I noticed this is signed. Are we signing this stuff before we?
I just have it
Vote on
mocked up already, just when I made it, when I did the letter in support. And if we don't, then we don't use it.
I mean, that was on this document and another document. It's a poor thing to do. But the other thing is, I don't think this is going to have any effect because they've had, if you read AB 23, and you see how they lined it out, basically it's a total of $400 of petty thefts or any sort of theft in over a year, which is applicable in the 951. But basically what's happened is that the DA has never prosecuted this. It's not just to this one, but in the whole time that I've been there, they have been refusing to, stitch together these things to do it. So basically what we're saying is if you do a robbery of $400, they may make it a felony. I think this merits more discussion on implications by the board. And that's all I have to say right now.
This was discussed at our public safety meeting by Officer Ulmer when he came to our meeting. And he did state that this is not a consecutive year thing. There
was no ask here, no question. I was just making my statement on it.
$950 is what the threshold is for a single transaction when they go into Target. And this would lower it to $400 so that if somebody goes in and steals $400 worth of stuff from Target, then it's more punishable.
You haven't read it. It's over 1 year. 950 over 1 year, 1,200. Pull up AB 23 and read it.
I did, and it's attached to this.
Okay, and that's what it said, over 1 year. So.
It doesn't say that.
Right there. See?
It doesn't say a year.
Line 11, 12.
Okay.
I read it.
I'm just going by when we discussed it at our meeting.
I know, and I think, and
He said that he
I don't think that your thing doesn't have merit. I just think that it needs to be discussed in view of the fact that the DA has never, not just this Gascon, but no DA has ever prosecuted or stitched them together.
This letter is to support Assembly Member Marisucci's motion for AB 23 is what this letter is for, to support it.
I understand what the letter's for, but what's to support something? What's the use of supporting something that the DA has never prosecuted?
Okay, well, I'm going to call any other discussion. I'm going to call for the vote on this. So, whoops, Thomas?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Craig?
Abstain.
Yeah.
I also abstain.
Adam?
Abstain.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris,
Abstain.
huh?
Abstain.
Abstain? Gwen,
Abstain.
okay. Next is, whoops.
Ben gets to vote on this.
Oh, Ben,
Oh, I've seen.
abstain? Okay. Alrighty, the next is support of AB 74. This is basically a bill that is for the sideshow racing of streets where the cars are doing the taking over of the streets and spinning around and doing sideshow races. This is again at a committee, at a meeting. We would help create safe streets and neighborhoods and intersections of California cities. While there's existing laws for excessive speed for highways or sideshow of 2 or more on a highway doing speed contests or reckless driving, it doesn't state particulars about street takeovers in neighborhoods or residential street racing sideshows. Due to the uptick in street takeovers, we feel the safety of the spectators and participants are important. The Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council would encourage AB 74 to include language about pedestrians inadvertently being harmed and strict penalties for damage to property. This is at a committee. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
I'm sorry, this is Adam. I do have a question. Just for clarity, where it speaks of the safety of inadvertently being harmed. How does that apply to, and I guess for those of us who have seen how the street takeovers, it's not only the cars, but the whole group that decides to meet there.
Right.
And so they might not be in the cars, but they're a part of it. Or is it just speaking of like residents?
Right.
Or homes that are around, or
businesses, right, or businesses or homes that may be around, or businesses, or somebody might be walking on the street and all of a sudden walk into this and all of a sudden become a victim of it.
Got it. Okay. Not some of the ones who kind of park and enjoy it. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly? Kelly? We'll come back to her. Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Aye.
Ben?
Yes.
Gwen?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Alrighty, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna go to move to agenda item C, and that's support / environment and sustainability committee for these for the motion. Thomas, would you like to talk about it?
I would. Do I screen share? Will somebody put that up for me? Okay. Thank you. If we could go to the letter prepared by the committee, there's 2 attachments. I see one of the attachments is up right now. We're looking for the one.
The other one is in Word, so I'm gonna have to bring that up separately.
Okay, so I guess we can look at the attachment then, seeing you have it. This is just looking at some past history from the PAP program. That's perspective, it's referred to in the actual letter produced by the Port Environment and Sustainability Committee. So that's in the packet.
Okay, do you want the letter brought up?
Yeah, but I'd like to bring the letter up now, please.
Okay.
All right. And this is addressed to our council person as well as the Board of Harbor Commissioners. This is the product of the Port Environmental Sustainability Committee. I want to thank those who were in attendance and put in time. Craig, Gwen, Pat, primarily. We've talked about some of these issues, throughout this year, and it culminated in this letter, which is an opportunity to speak, directly to the harbor commissioners and to the people representing the port in terms of some concerns we've had in Northwest San Pedro and San Pedro, Wilmington, and in this whole area, as a whole. Since drafting this, I've received feedback from stakeholders. I'm expecting there will be an amendment coming, from the public in terms of that latter point I'm making, that we really have had success working together to try to get the port's attention. The whole PIP program is a result of work groups like Neighborhood Council, working to ask for this allocation to improve our communities. But just walking through the basic substance that I would like each of you to consider supporting today. It's responding particularly to their agenda item from last December 15th. This is the time when the public has been invited to comment on the plan, which we're also looking at you previously looked at the plan from 2015. So that's one of the attachments there. You can go into your Dropbox or Google Drive to review that if you want to see what language we're referring to. Tried to make this simple for folks to digest with the bold. So we talk about the operating and maintenance cost, the process by which that money is allocated, and we make some suggestions. In particular, that this 10% threshold was designed to be a floor, a minimum, not a ceiling, and to make sure that that is respected as they look at revising the plan. As we look at outside funding sources, we just want to make sure we're aware of other sources of funding for projects that might be in competition for the money that's been allocated by the port in the past, with a great example in the past of some money that was set aside for transportation process, and yet then a $7.5 million MTA grant was received, and that was just offset. That didn't seem to be in the spirit of what the PAP program is for. We would not like to see this happen again in the 2022 plan, which is under discussion now. What's our basis for really asserting a pretty strong opinion that the port changed what it's doing? Well, if you go to the early notice requirement in the city charter, and we cite those provisions in there, that it was designed that the PAP process is supposed to help them to become responsive to our community. So if you listen to the recording back in 2014, the goals were transparency, predictability, sustainability, and ongoing dialogue and partnership. Seems that that's been lost some. Neighborhood councils, such as our meetings, is a great way to make sure we have this dialogue, we have this partnership. As one of the members mentioned, that the lodestar you'll find in section 907 of the city charter, which is that the regulations establishing procedures for receiving input from neighborhood councils should be prior to decisions by the city council committees, boards, and commissions. The procedure shall include, but need not be limited to, notice to neighborhood councils as soon as practical, and a reasonable opportunity to provide input before decisions are made. And so it's been my experience, and over the last 2 years, the experience of folks on the Northwest San Pedro Port Committee. Sometimes there's been a little bit of a disagreement what's a reasonable opportunity is to provide input. The timelines have been pretty tight. We've had to have special meetings, and that would suggest that they're not reasonable, especially given how difficult I anticipate it be to have non-Zoom meetings to get this type of input. So I think it's particularly important as we move back into a traditional environment. You can go through, and I won't read it word for word, but wanted to highlight those areas. And we've noted there's a struggle to work with the neighborhood councils, and we recommend two particular changes, which I do want to highlight. Board letters should recite steps that have been taken, provide neighborhood councils a reasonable opportunity to provide the input as a reminder, and so the board will know what efforts have been made. And it would be nice if they actually noted those with a section, these letters, perhaps, bolded as we've done in our letter. We further suggest in their annual performance reviews, and this is where we try to get the attention of those working at the port, senior staff and the general manager should be evaluated on how well they've worked with neighborhood councils within the framework of section 907. Not the only thing, but at least it could be mentioned in the performance reviews, something that would be top of mind, that this is part of their responsibility, part of their job. So the community and those that are representing the community are kept in mind. So kind of in conclusion, we're asking the commission not approve this item until the port staff have obtained the appropriate stakeholder input, including that, and not limited to that of the neighborhood councils. We request that separate section mentioned to make sure we have additional stakeholder input. If we fail to do this at this opportunity, this is going to make it harder for us to seek input and give our feedback on the projects that we want for the next 10 years. And 10 years is a long period of time. So that's a product from committee. Feedback received, again, would encourage us to look at the language, make sure we're not alienating other groups. This could be a model for Central, Coastal, Wilmington, to also, affirm similar sentiments. Saying, I think the primary goal is just to make sure that the public voice, stakeholders are heard in terms of the PAP process. So sorry, I know we're, President, it's a tight meeting, but it is one of the first things the Port and Environmental Sustainability Committee has brought forward, and just wanted to make sure everyone not on that committee is aware of what we're asking for your comments on. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. As I'm listening to the presentation, I'm looking at the letter, I have to kind of go back and think about the fact that I believe we have written 2 letters already based on the very inclusive, I'll say, input that we got from a table that we put out during, I believe it was a one-time First Thursday opportunity where we were taking input, and we had already submitted things of this nature. And I'm wondering, how does this differ from the other pieces that we have already submitted? I mean, is there any change at all in what we're submitting, given what we've already studied to take into consideration?
Yeah, and I'll let you recognize whomever, if I get to quickly respond. I haven't been, I don't have the history, I didn't attend that event, so I don't have the history that some others do. So I can't respond with a lot of knowledge on that past. But I hope somebody else can.
Okay, let me see who. Okay, I see Craig's hand up, but I think Pat has some history to answer my question. So I'm going to go to Pat, and then Craig, you're up next. Pat, if you can answer or help us understand the difference.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
There's a very long history to the PAIP, and you touched on one hallmark of this. There would be no PAIP were it not for the working with the neighborhood councils working together with the chambers, with 5 neighborhood councils and 3 chambers of commerce. And that's when the port decided back in 2014 they better do something to quell the fires, I suppose is the best way to say it. And that's when they came up with the first 5-year iteration of the plan. And they call that the plan. And what they're doing right now, and what's getting ready to go to the Board of Harbor Commissioners, is what they call the amended plan. The amended plan includes some recommendations that the port has made, but they haven't paid attention, and they're not telling the Board of Harbor Commissioners what the neighborhood councils have said, particularly the Northwest Neighborhood Council said. And you were right. We did a lot of work. There were over 100 people that provided comments on what they wanted to see. And that went into the 2019 letter, and then also into the 2021 letter that your board passed. I think a hallmark of all of that is the cooperation amongst the neighborhood councils. And there's two sentences that were added in the committee process that I think are problematic. The first one is the last sentence of paragraph 3. It says, "We note that past allocations have not proportionately involved areas in the northwest sections of San Pedro." And the second, I want to come back to that in a minute, but the 13th paragraph, the last sentence says, "Northwest is interested in obtaining public adjacent to its boundaries. Thus, our specific recommendations will ensure that input from our community is considered for funding in the current period." I think it should be concerned that this is the kind of regional fighting over money that we've worked so hard to avoid so that we could act together and get some action by the port. And frankly, I'll take the first sentence, the last sentence in the third paragraph. Past allocations not proportionately involved areas in Northwest. I don't think that's really accurate for a couple of reasons. One is that all public facilities, including the harbor, belong to all neighborhood councils. So the work that we've done is to improve the waterfront and the public access infrastructure program. And then also, we've got the North Gaffey Street beautification project, which is second phase is just about to start, and that along with the Front Street improvement project will provide pedestrian and bicycle access all the way to the Vincent Thomas Bridge, and then of course all the way down the waterfront. The last sentence of the 13th paragraph, San Pedro community is interested in obtaining public access to the waterfront immediately adjacent to its boundaries. And that would be along Gibson Boulevard, but that's access through China Shipping, Yang Ming, and Trey Pack. And that's just not gonna happen. And then the second part of that sentence, thus our specific recommendations will ensure that input from our community is considered for funding in the current period. I don't know how the first part is related to the second part because there's nothing in the period for providing projects to the port for the amended plan has long since passed, and we did participate, and we participated strongly, and certainly everybody should maybe to catch up if they weren't on the board at the time, or certainly for a refresher, could read that that July 22nd, 2019 letter or the December 20th of 2021 letter for doing it. I would be concerned if I were, I would be concerned that these kinds of things are going to catch the attention of the other neighborhood councils and start a don't want to see, I would hate to see injected into the cooperation level that we've had over the years to have this deteriorate into a what about us kind of fight on real or imagined slights. So I would hope that somebody would move to delete those two sentences. Diana's also listening in on this, and she's the one that headed up the efforts to, you know, on first Thursdays, we had a forum in the old Brown Brothers building, collected lots and lots of comments, over 100 comments that went into the recommendations that you all then approved. That's it. I'm certainly happy to answer questions. I think Diana probably would too.
Sorry about that. Okay, Craig's hand is up and then Gwen's hand. So Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, though I'm not totally, I think this letter's over, I worked on it. I still think it's um, overly long and not as succinct as we need it to be. And it is recovering stuff we have done over the years. You know, the relitigating of stuff by Pat of things that we went over in the committee meeting is just nothing unusual. I think I would like to send this back to committee more to would like to see this set back to committee more so that we could refine it a bit more, because the more I look at it, the longer it seems, the less succinct it is, the less likely we are to be listened to. But you know, I'll leave that up to you and go from there.
Gwen, you're up.
So Craig, is that a motion to bring it back to committee?
I'll move to bring it back to committee.
Okay, I would like to second that.
Okay, for this amendment, well, taking it back, we'll have for this motion, can we have some discussion? Let's see. Okay, I see Melanie's hand up, and Pat, is your hand up from before, or is this additional comment?
Additional comment only on the time issue. I think this is going to the Board of Harbor Commissioners before there'd be an opportunity for the Port Committee to consider and bring it back to the Neighborhood Council.
Okay, thank you. Melanie, your hand is up. Comment? Question?
Yeah, I just think that I agree with what Craig said. It's too long and in the weeds. We need to shorten it and get to specific points so we're heard, because when it gets too long, then it is just, we're losing their attention of what our point is to get to on this.
Okay. Cynthia, I see your hand.
Melanie said what I was going to say also.
Okay, thank you. We have attendees that may, oh, wait, hold on. I think I see another hand. Angela, your hand, go ahead.
I just wanted a clarification. Is there a time sensitive issue on this letter? I heard Pat start to talk about getting it out, but I kind of missed, like, is this something that needs to be sent out soon to be considered, or do we have time to look at it again?
Pat, can you answer that? Or Thomas?
You know, I fear we called a special meeting because we wanted to have input on the 2022 plan. If we're not able to meet in March, for sure I'm concerned. Pat probably knows the exact date. I don't have that, but I don't think on a normal cycle we will have the opportunity to make this request. But if Pat has the exact date, I'll defer to him, or I'll start checking my notes here.
Pat, go ahead.
The board letter to the Board of Harbor Commissioners by staff is already being circulated. They can take it up at any time, and have indicated they will take it up fairly quickly. They could take it up as soon as their next meeting. As to the length, yeah, it's a little long, but there's nothing in here that staff, and as we heard before, what you're asking them to do is, hey, you guys, I think it's in the last paragraph of the letter, of this comment letter, is don't consider it, don't do anything until you've taken the input from the neighborhood councils. For example, the attachment to the staff board letter has the projects they recommend. But they don't tell the Board of Harbor Commissioners what the neighborhood councils have asked for or recommended. So that, and there's other things in the amended plan too that they don't have, well, there's things they don't have in there that they had in the underlying first plan. Things like seeking the input from the neighborhood councils. That's in the plan, but not in the amended plan. So, yeah, it's long, but these people are sophisticated. They know what our position is here. They'll be able to read this just fine.
And I have a date for folks to consider. So my concern is that they'll take action February 23rd, which is 10 days from now. The next opportunity is March 16th, even if we were to ask them to hold off. So those are the two dates in mind, and their subsequent meeting is March 30th. So not an awful lot of time. Something could happen within 10 days.
Okay, just for clarity, it sounds to me that there is a time element that we have to be concerned about in this thing. I think I'm hearing from both of you because of the fact that the port tends to kind of move at its own speed, sometimes very slow, but I think when needed, they act very quickly. So, okay, I hear that. Let's see, I see Chris, go ahead, and then Gwen.
Yeah, just real quickly, and I know we're still technically in discussion of the motion to move it back to committee.
Right.
I would suggest that we not send it back, and really, in short, just say, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. That it is probably better to get something in there, even if it's not quite as nice as we'd like. And I think maybe if it's possible, maybe we could do live edits on the sentences that Pat referenced, just to kind of pare it down a little bit, and then just kind of run with what we have for the sake of expediency.
Thank you. Gwen? Gwen?
Yeah, we still have that motion on the floor, but after that, I mean, Pat, if you have an action for removing certain lines and saying it in that way, but first possibly go to this vote. But if maybe right now you can talk about a very specific set of lines to be removed. And once again, it's referring to things that aren't in the 2022 plan that we had contributed to, that may make us look foolish in bringing it back up and saying we want more. Is that correct?
Point of order, we need to deal with the motion on the floor and then go on to discussion about other stuff.
I understand, but that will make a judgment on everyone's vote for this particular motion.
Let's see, I thought I saw Craig's hand up again. Craig, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, this always happens, we're still waiting on the Board of Neighborhood, the Board of Commissioners to vote and pass on things from last year. So all of a sudden, because there's this letter and some people would like to see it pass, we're being pushed into doing something that may or may not be of any benefit to us. But of course, all of a sudden there's this artificial timeline on it that we have to do this now. And, it's, and then, we get relitigated stuff that was discussed in committee, and it's getting relitigated again. And then they're going to try and relitigate it again. And the stuff, and saying, oh, we should take this out, we should take that out. If we should start taking stuff out in this committee, we should send it back to committee and redo it. It's a very complicated document. It is long-winded. Some of it we had to take out considerable amounts to begin with. And I don't think it reflects best work for us, or it shows the best work of Northwest San Pedro.
Okay. Gwen, I'm gonna give you one last shot and then we're gonna have to take this to a vote. Whether we're gonna take it back, send it back or vote on it with maybe some amendments. So Gwen, real quick point, please.
As lengthy as it is, I believe that one of the main points of this letter is that there are certain promised procedures that the Port and the Harbor Commissioners had provided, that they will continue to inform the neighborhood councils all the way through the process, and they have neglected on this, and that's the really main core of this letter. So the other portion of it regarding we want this and we want that, is, I think it could be stricken, in that is a really important point that we wanted to get through, is that the rules that they decided that they were going to do, they're not fulfilling very basic procedures that we want, which is interaction and stakeholder dialogue. So that's the intent of the letter. The other bit about wanting more things is it was kind of on the side, but I do think that it distracts from the main point, that they have an obligation. They need to put it back in this new the new language and in the language, because they're not addressing it.
Okay, so with that now, the motion before us is to either send it back to the committee to take another look at this, or to send it out right now, and then we'll vote on if there needs to be any take it as is or make some changes in the document. So right now, do we send it back or do we keep it? So if we can take that vote, Vic?
The motion is not, do we do one or the other? The motion is that we send it back to committee.
Yes.
Just to clarify, because you're giving a one or the other, and that's not the way motions work.
I was just trying to be clear. Vic, go ahead, please.
Okay, John Barbera.
Well, just to be, let's say that if you don't want it to go back, say no. Wait, if you
Okay, yeah. A yes vote sends it back to committee.
Right.
A no vote does not send it back to committee.
No.
Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Cynthia, okay. Gwen Henry,
No.
Oh,
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
No.
Ben Norman,
No.
Thomas Norman,
No.
Ray Regalado,
No.
Adam Stevenson,
No.
Angela Sumner,
No.
Chris Valle,
No.
and I'm still up. I'm gonna have to abstain. So that is 3 ayes, 9 nays, and 1 abstention. So this one fails.
Okay, so now, and please keep me honest here, we have the letter before us. If there are, as suggested by Pat, there are 2 areas that he is suggesting that we perhaps eliminate, I think is the case, right, Pat? If I can just get a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So 2 areas in which to eliminate. And I'm going to ask Pat if he could identify those 2 areas again.
Point of order, Pat isn't on the board. He can't make amendments.
He's
Okay, so if you want to make an amendment or anybody else
Craig,
wants to make
Craig,
an amendment, they
Craig,
can.
please, it's
but-
way too late. All I'm asking him is to identify. I'm not asking.
He's not a board member. He can't make amendments.
I am not
He
asking.
can
for
have
no-
a discussion. You're asking him to which areas he wants to make amendments.
He's just.
You are that, this is not
Craig,
so
please.
sure. Yeah, would you please, once, just for once,
Craig, please.
you know, I got elected to the board. He didn't. He can't make amendments. Everybody on this board can make amendments. If you're going to him to make amendments, that's going to get outside.
I'll say it one more time. I am not asking him for an amendment. All I'm
Yeah,
asking.
you
is if
are.
he made
You're
an
asking him what he
identified
wants to
someone
change and you're
else,
making,
someone-
that's giving him the privileges of amendments.
I have to agree with Craig.
Well, that's nice. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion,
Who is that? Gwen?
Gwen, to consider and discuss the proposed amendments and then make a motion, the board can make a motion based on that discussion.
Trying to figure out what you just said, Gwen.
I'm making a motion to discuss the amendment freely before making a motion.
We don't yet have an amendment. We haven't identified what the amendment is. or would
Correct.
be.
Correct. And
Well,
that's why I'm asking for discussion.
I'm gonna, to speed things up, I've got data on what I took notes on what Pat was saying. I'm gonna propose 2 amendments individually for consideration. The first amendment is if you want to scroll down to that 3rd paragraph where there was problems with the language. I'll propose an amendment to strike the last sentence that reads, "We note that past allocations have not proportionally involved areas in the northwest section of San Pedro." If there's a second, we can discuss.
So second by.
Okay.
Where is that, Thomas?
That's paragraph number 3 on the first page. Under
Okay.
the bold operating and maintenance cost, it would be striking last sentence begins, "We note," the entire sentence. If you're able to do it on your screen.
So right here.
No, third.
The first bullet under
Under
the operating and maintenance costs, the last sentence of that,
Oh, we know, right here.
Yeah.
right?
So the amendment is to strike that, and we have a second and discussion.
Thank you.
Do chairs get to do discussion, or do you do that, President?
No, we now, see, we got the motion, we got the second, we're under discussion now. Please raise your hand if you'd like to say something. I see Craig's hand there.
Who seconded, please?
Me, Chris By.
Chris, yeah. So Craig,
Okay, this was specifically put in there because the note we saw that as you all are all aware that most of the China shipping money went to other areas in San Pedro, even though we're sitting right opposite China shipping. We in all other instances, none of the other neighborhood councils have ever, pretty much spent any money or pushed to have any money spent in Northwest. We wanted specifically to notate that this isn't happening in Northwest. And we are Northwest Neighborhood Council. We are the Northwest Neighborhood Port Committee. And we need to be speaking up for our community.
anyone else have a comment? Gwen, I see your hand up.
I appreciate the discussion. I do regret my original second, but Craig, the aspect is that for the 2022 PAIP, we never asked for certain things. So, I mean, those particular items, I mean, we've asked for different things, but not that particular item. So we do have language in there that talks about the things that we did have in there and that they were omitted. So perhaps, I mean, is a PIAP, I mean, this is kind of a rhetorical question, and I just want a yes or no. Is there going to be a PAIP in 2023? And can we put those things in our next letter for the 2023?
If you're asking me a question, I have no idea. We spoke about this in the meeting, in the board, in the committee meeting. And one of the things that most of us in the committee meeting, which we included you, was that we had a very big concern that, that Northwest and all this stuff has not been taken into account, and that we needed to be starting to push for Northwest.
Well, with that, the letter includes language that we absolutely insist that the neighborhood councils.
I'm not going to debate this with,
Yeah, I
this isn't a
understand.
debate. I was
understand.
answering the question that you asked me, and
I understand.
and I wanted the other people to know. So I'm done.
I'd like to move to call the question. I think we know what the issue is, and to move things on, if there's a second.
Seconded.
And proceed to the vote.
The motion by Thomas, and I think I heard Craig seconded.
The motion, when you call the question, there's no motion involved. The motion is to strike that sentence. It was moved by Thomas Norman and it was seconded by Chris Valle.
The question, no, calling for the question calls for the vote, which means you have to vote to end discussion.
Correct. So we can discussion, vote on this.
Vote and discussion.
We have to vote to end discussion, then you can vote on the amendment.
Correct.
Yes, so.
My mistake, sorry.
So I need to ask if there's any discussion on the motion. And I see hands up.
You can't have you have to vote on the discussion. There's nothing, this ends all discussion. You vote on whether you're ending discussion or not, then you can go on.
But if they, but President, if the people want to continue discussing, then they get to discuss. We should just quickly vote right now to see if we're ready to vote. And you could just ask, does anybody disagree with voting to see if we, and just move on to the vote for speed.
Yeah, we could move by assent.
Then let's just do it that way, because this is getting a bit too long. So let's just go to the vote. Let's just go to the vote. Please, Vic, please.
Okay, and this vote is on whether we are ending discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so a yes vote is end discussion and a no vote is do not end discussion.
Right.
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Sorry, Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne. Oops. Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Yes.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, it is unanimous with 13.
And now we go right to the vote.
Now we go to the vote, right, exactly. So Vic, do you want to identify what is going to be do we eliminate it or do we not eliminate it? I think is what it is. Please remind me.
Well, the motion is to strike the highlighted sentence that
Right.
starts with "we note."
Right.
So a yes vote means take it out. A no vote means leave it in.
Great, thank you.
And hang on a minute. Okay. So John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, nay. Craig Goldfarb,
No.
Cynthia Gagne,
Abstain.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Abstain.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
I'll abstain.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Abstain.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
okay, that's 7 ayes, 2 nays, and 4 abstentions, so that carries.
Okay. Do we want to look at the other?
I have a motion, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I'm moving if you go to the second page, the second paragraph from the bottom on the second page. And let's see. Actually, on the way it's formatted there, it's the last paragraph where it begins, the Northwest San Pedro, so still second page, but last paragraph. I'll motion to strike where it begins on that last paragraph on this page, the Northwest San Pedro community. That's what the request was, and just for perspective, I'm abstaining because I was a product of this, but for speed, I don't want to spend forever on what people want to vote on. So I'm motioning that we delete this section, and if there's a second, then we can discuss.
Second.
Discussion? Any hands? Thomas, I see your hand up. Was that from the previous comment or?
Oh, that was just to make sure my motion got recognized.
Okay, Craig,
The same objection as before.
any other discussion? I see no other hands, so can we take the vote? And Victor, could you please make sure that, we specify what constitutes removing or keeping?
What page is this on again?
Page 2. Last
Page
paragraph.
2, bottom of the
It's
last paragraph.
It's highlighted.
Yeah, I just didn't know what page. I see the words. I just didn't know what page. Because I want to make sure I write down what's being done here.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so a yes vote means, since the motion is to strike this, a yes vote means this sentence comes out. And a no vote means that it stays in.
Right.
Okay, so John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, nay. Craig Goldfarb,
No.
Cynthia Gagne,
Come back to me.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Abstain.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
I'll abstain.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Abstain.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
and Cynthia Gagne.
I'm going to say no. Oh,
So that's 7 ayes, 3 nays, and 3 abstentions. So that one carries.
Move to call the question on the entire document.
As amended.
Seconded. As amended, yes, seconded.
Yeah, as amended.
Will, did I hear someone say just call the question? Did I hear that or am I?
Yeah.
That was Thomas and I.
Here's my hand.
Second.
Okay. All right,
That
Great.
means we have to vote to end discussion.
thank you. So can we go take the vote?
You have to vote to end the discussion, then you can take the vote.
Right, that's what I'm asking for. Can we take the vote to end the discussion?
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Yes.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
It is unanimous at 13.
And now we vote on the motion.
Anyone wants to make the motion?
That
Oh, the
was-
motion's already made.
Just repeat the vote to see if you support this document.
Yeah, second.
And we don't have to second, it should just begin.
Start. Go ahead, Vic. You want to identify what constitutes pass?
Yes vote means we are accepting the amended letter, which means both of those sentences that were previously moved to strike are stricken. A no vote means we are not accepting the amended letter with those sentences out. So on that, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb,
No.
Cynthia Gagne,
No.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Yes.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
11 ayes, 2 nays. So that carries.
Thank you.
Oh, geez.
And the committee thanks everyone for their attention and votes.
Let's see. So we're moving down to the, well, look, I want everyone to weigh in. It's after 9:30. You want to continue the meeting or hold off? Or we can maybe do, we need to make a decision on executive committee item number 2, a representative to identify a person to represent Northwest San Pedro to Peck Park Advisory Board, should they be approved by the park. Shall we do that one? And then
I move.
But can I make a point of clarification there? I went to the park today
sure, why not? Go ahead.
and I put in my application. They're not reviewing yet. So you have time on this.
They are not reviewing to put the group together at this point?
They're just starting interviewing people. So anybody from this group can apply to be on it. They're gonna interview you and choose.
Right, and I guess the conversation about this, just to be clear, is that anyone can apply. And if you go and you get picked, I guess, you're speaking as an individual. I think we had discussed that we need a representative for the council. And that is, we're presenting someone to represent the council.
I was just saying we have time on this. So if we
Which-
want to end the meeting instead of having a long discussion about who's going to represent.
But you say, okay, just to be clear, I think I heard you say that they're doing interviews now. Is
No,
that-
they said they will call me when they do interviews. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing them now.
Any other comment? Melanie,
Yeah, my only concern is with picking one person that per se you have, that the group may pick, that may not be the person that the park picks amongst the interviews and applications. So it might be prudent for us to have several people that we send to apply, and whoever gets picked gets picked.
They will be looking at different aspects.
Because if we just pick one person and that person doesn't get picked by the Park and Rec through their application, then we're in trouble because that's not the person the board decided on.
This is sort of silly. What you're saying is that elected board members from Northwest San Pedro, if they get picked on it, can't represent the board because we don't have what? The approval of the board?
Yes, exactly, literally.
That's just silliness, but that's besides.
Well, those are
the point.
bylaws.
Those
That's
are
not silly.
No, it's trying to say that, oh, you can't represent the board because, and we're just gonna, our select people because,
It's saying
it's
that you
it's
can't
just the
represent the board without the
same
board's approval.
adolescent, childish stuff that lets people get,
Oh, man.
that lets hosts mute people, board members, because they don't like what they're saying or when they're saying it. That we're doing this and that the park isn't going along with it is just even makes it more silly.
Yeah, Mr. President, I object to the derisive and disrespectful language of my fellow board member. I'd just like to point out that in a variety of other situations, board members are given essentially approval by the board or appointment by the president to participate as external ambassadors or representatives. And if you are going to represent a board position or any of the decisions that we make, you need to go forward only with the approval of the other board members. You can't just take that seat that you won and use it as a blank check endorsement from the rest of us that you don't have.
Yeah,
that's why and it's always been that way.
It's always, you're absolutely right. It has always been that way. So let me put it to the group. Do you want to discuss this next month or do you want to do it now?
I think we should just identify those that are interested and tell them all to go apply. And whoever gets picked, then decide who's going to be, after they get picked, who's the one that's going to represent and speak for Northwest.
I appreciate what you're saying. I'll reserve my comment at this point. Gwen, you have something to say?
The 3 applicants at the particular moment, there might be 2 that are not, that don't fulfill some of the application requirements. So that should be considered.
Well, just so that it's clear, I think I remember that there are 4 people who are interested, and without objection, can I mention them? Just to make sure that we're clear.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Angela, Melanie, Craig, Gwen. Those are the 4 people I remember from last, and I think there was an email that identified these are the 4 people who had interest. Do any one of these 3 or any one of these 4 want off this list for consideration? Gwen, I see your hand up.
That was a mistake, sorry.
Okay. Chris, I see your hand up.
Thanks. Yeah, I just would, it seems, if I'm reading the selection process properly, that there's no guarantee that anyone might, have a successful interview. I think it might be a good idea for any interested board members to go throw their hat in there. If they're selected by the park, then the board can take up, let's say we had 1 or 3 or 4 board members, and then the board could vote later on to make one of those the sort of the official representative, and it wouldn't preclude anybody else from participating because they got that on their own merit.
That's exactly what I said.
Well, let me just share my opinion, and it's nothing more than an opinion. My opinion is that Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council represents the community as a whole, it is my contention, and it is my contention that there should be a seat to make sure that Northwest San Pedro has a voice in this, at this park. If there is no specific seat at this, in this group, then as much as I appreciate everyone else's participation, I mean, we are the elected body representing this community in an advisory role, and I would think that we have an opportunity to advise the park as needed. Now, if I've heard that there is the possibility that that is not the case, where the park is not necessarily looking at whether Northwest San Pedro or any other person is going to represent, that they're going to do the picking. And to me, that is kind of ripe for exploitation of the group that they want, not what the community wants. And that concerns me very much.
So why
So
were you
my-
quiet when we were discussing
Craig,
CPAB
Craig,
about the same
Craig,
thing?
I am not through yet, please. Thank you. So all I'm saying is that if we would wait, I would like to somehow make an argument to the parks that Northwest San Pedro should have a seat at this table. No different than the argument has been about CPAB having a seat at the table. It's no different, or with the Port of Los Angeles. We have seats there, or we want seats there, and we should have one at the park. So that's my contention, that you know, I appreciate that they want to pick and choose, but we, as an elected body, should have a seat there representing the community at large. So if anyone wants to argue that, if anyone has a different feel, please raise your hand and we can go through it. But it is getting late. Cynthia.
I just want to say, I don't know if we can order them to change the rules or not, just for us. I mean, I understand we represent Northwest, and we do have a responsibility to represent them, but we can't just go and tell the park they can't not vote for us. They have to vote for us. I think that's a little crass and a little bullying too.
Chris?
Thanks. I tend to agree that, you know, I think that there probably should be sort of a permanent seat, and that this might just be an opportunity for us to pursue, well, to be involved and present for those conversations until such time as, however it happens, we can, you know, get them to understand our point of view and make a permanent reserve spot. But, you know, in the meantime, kind of play the ball where it lies.
We have someone from the attendees, and that is Diana Nate. Do you have a comment, Diana?
Yeah, you know, it reminds me of what happened a number of years ago at the CRA. And we did, the neighborhood council, our neighborhood council, actually then asked CRA's board to include representatives from the neighborhood councils, and we were successful in doing that. This could actually be a citywide issue, because I think the various places where there are advisory committees, I think the other neighborhood councils would also be interested. So you may want to consider doing some kind of a motion to the Recreation and Parks Commission, recommending that all of the park advisory committees have a seat or seats for the local neighborhood councils. And you may want to consider discussing that with your fellow neighborhood councils in San Pedro and elsewhere.
Thank you, Diane. Let's see, I see Pat's hand. Pat?
Yeah, and doesn't this sound a little like that section 907 issue that we covered in the port letter? I mean, if the Rec and Parks is going to take some actions up there, shouldn't they be talking and allowing reasonable input from the neighborhood council? So maybe this is a good mechanism for ensuring that, is to have a representative from the neighborhood council on the park advisory board.
Thank you. Victor, I see your hand up.
while this discussion and the concern is valid, it's not really what the agenda item is about. So if we're not going to appoint, knowing that Peck Park may say that whoever we appoint is not going to be on the board, should we basically table this discussion until another time and end the meeting now that we're already at 9:50?
That's a motion. I second it.
Any discussion? Chris, did I see your hand up, or is that from prior?
Yeah, just briefly, just that the people who that have already expressed interest, I think would probably be amongst the people that we would consider anyway, so that we may just be, walking the same path with different, goal right now. But again, in the short term, it seems to be working towards what we'd like to see happen.
Okay. So any other comments, discussion? All right. So the question on the table, Vic, would you like to clarify so we can vote?
Well, the question on the table is basically adjourn because we are not discussing the agenda item that we were on.
Right.
So in short, a yes vote means we adjourn, a no vote means we don't. Or if we're going to do it with no objection, that's your choice.
So I'd rather take the vote because we have varying
Okay.
opinions. So why don't we take the vote? Can we identify what constitutes adjournment?
Okay.
Yes, for adjournment?
A yes vote is adjourn, a no vote is continue.
Okay.
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb. Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Gwen Henry,
Aye.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Aye.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Ben Norman,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Aye.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Adam Stevenson,
Aye.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Aye.
It is unanimous with 13.
So we are adjourning. Thank you very much, everyone, for sticking this out. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.